Yo, what's up, guys? Today, what we're going to be doing is ranking our top 10 films of all time. I've got two very special guests with me. The first one is someone who I've worked with before on the Real Review 3000 channel on the Weekly Rumble. This is Bothman Bad. How you doing, mate?
Hello, governor. I figured I'd get the accent joke out of the way right off the bat.
Yeah.
Doing good.
Alright.
Thanks for having me.
And our next guest is someone new, and I'm hoping to work with him more in the future. His name is Comic Chat. How you doing, mate?
Hey, how you doing? Glad to be
Right.
here. Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome. So basically, I've explained to these two guys how this is going to work, and now I'm going to explain it to all of you people at home. We're all going to take it in turns. We're going to go from our 10th favourite film to the first. We're going to have a limited amount of time to say the film and explain why. And then the other two people will get about 2 minutes to ask that person questions about that film and go into more detail on why it's their favourite film. I think I'll go through that the way.
All right.
Who wants to go first?
Danny, what you got, man?
Okay, I'll go first. Let me see. My number 10 was One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which came out in 1975. It stars Jack Nicholson, which is one of my favorite excuse me, one of my favorite actors of all time. I remember watching it when I was in high school. I think it was an assignment, and it always stuck with me. Talks about mental illness, individuals inside in a sane asylum, a mental hospital, and Jack wasn't mental. I don't know why he was in there, but he was trying to inspire the other ones and give them courage and hope. And then at the end of the movie, he got lobotomized. And then, but one of the people he inspired was this Indian, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
And he picked up this incredibly large piece of stone or something and threw it through the window and bust out and got free. And to me, it was just a very a touching story. Like I said, it was my first time actually seeing Jack Nicholson in doing his thing in action. And ever since then, I've been a Jack Nicholson fan. So it is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
A strong number 10. Bad, I'll let you ask first.
Duh. Well, it's actually hard since you said we were gonna go from like 10 to 1. It was kind of hard for me to do that, so I'm just gonna kind of tell myself it's not really in a particular order, just because it's kind of like, what am I in the mood for that day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'd probably say one of the first ones for me. I'll just start with Jurassic Park. It was one of the first films that really inspired me to ever even want to even think about doing anything in the realm of movie making or storytelling and things like that. It was one of the first times I'd really noticed, other than like Star Wars documentaries, like they got really in depth on how they made the film. So all the behind the scenes stuff really made the movie like feel even more special. But man, I just remember seeing it for the first time, and it was just like, it was so different. It was I hate to say the word magical, but it was like, aside from the fact that dinosaurs are cool, I always kind of feel like when you're a kid, boy or girl, there's always a moment in your life where you're either gonna think space is really awesome or dinosaurs are really awesome, or both. And for me, it was totally dinosaurs. And so we checked out when we saw that film. It just felt really cool. It was just neat, and like the grandiose nature of it all. And I mean, come on, John Williams nailing it with the score again. I mean, one of the more iconic themes that you'll ever hear. And the acting's superb. I mean, those actors are still extremely relevant to this day.
Yeah.
And I mean, the franchise is still going. Say what you will about how much you like them or how good or bad they are. They're still, that first film is still inspirational, and everybody's still trying their damnedest to recapture that lightning in a bottle ever since. It's just one of my favorite films.
Is the stream playing on yours end, John? Because mine is not.
No, it looks like we're still waiting.
Hold on. I accidentally ended that thing, so I had a new one started. I'll just get out there.
Ah.
Because, you know, us British aren't really good with the technology.
Well, that's why you guys still have castles. You just can't seem to get to the future.
Exactly. But we have Yorkshire puddings. I'll take that as a win.
Yeah, right?
Right. So
Nice,
I'll say my 10th is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, all right.
And the reason is because my favourite singer of all time is Freddie Mercury. And his life story is so like empowering, especially in the time frame that it was in.
Yeah.
Like the 70s, mid 80s, where a lot of people didn't really accept people who were LGBT and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the journey that Freddie goes through the story, from when he started as Farouk Bulsara, and then he comes to this massive icon with this band called Queen. It just, I don't know, it's one of the greater biopics out there in film today, I'd say.
Yeah, that's not a bad. I mean, God, you already get lucky because you have the soundtrack is essentially their music, so it's kind of hard to screw that up in that aspect too.
I've always wanted to see it, but I haven't seen it yet. But I heard the guy that plays Freddie Mercury did an excellent job.
Yeah, he got an Oscar for it and an Emmy.
Was it Rami Malek, I believe? I almost said iRobot. It's no, it's
Mr. Robot.
Mr. Robot. I was like, Will Smith. No, you weren't in that.
Yeah,
that's a good choice.
Yep.
Right. Comic. What's your number 9?
Okay, my number 9 is Forrest Gump. This came out in 1994, starring Tom Hanks. I thought this movie was long, but I thought it was good. I was drawn into it the whole time. I like little different things they did for us. Him inventing the shirt, smiley face on it, and running cross country, and giving Elvis his inspiration for his moves and stuff. It was all good humor. Of course, it was heartbreak how Jenny did him, and then at the end he found out he had a son. And how his mom tried to protect her from life and stuff. Just a very touching movie. A movie that shows loyalty because he was loyal to his lieutenant and his friend in the army. The Bubba Gump, he made sure that Bubba's family was taken care of. He made sure he looked after his lieutenant when his lieutenant lost his legs. All that stuff. Tom Hanks is one of the top 10 actors of all time, in my opinion. And most of his movies, he killed it. And on this movie was no exception. So my number 9 is Forrest Gump, which came out in 1994.
Man,
I don't think a lot of people disagree with that.
It'd be hard to. I mean, come on. You even get like all these. You have a bunch of iconic dialogue in there, and Tom Hanks is great, but man, the rest of the cast is really, really good too.
Yeah.
It's and I think it's a cool film that I think people could still use, like this idea of he goes through some of the biggest tragedies that a human could go through, losing love, going to war, and even just having like social issues to where you maybe can't connect with people quite well or in a quote unquote normal way, but somehow he always seems to, and
yeah.
It's really touching, and everybody got to remember the opening with the feather and stuff. Like it was just good iconic stuff. That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
All right. Strong number 9 from Comic. Brad, what's your number 9 or your randomized number 9?
All right. So this will give you guys an idea that I'm more going for what do I consider my favorite films, not necessarily which I think are like the best made or anything like that.
Yeah, that's my personal opinion.
I'm gonna put for 9 Cool Runnings. It's one of those films that I know all the dialogue to. I like the characters. It's over the top, goofy.
Yeah.
like the and it's inspired by a true story and all that, so that's always fun. And this idea of 4 ragtag guys who go to a international stage to perform and be seen. It's basic Disney inspirational
Yeah.
nonsense. I have been told from many times, because I had a Jamaican buddy I worked with down in Florida at a country club, and he always we would quote it to each other like every day, but he would always get mad because he's like, not one of those motherfuckers was Jamaican. I go, oh man. I was like, bummer, but there's just a lot of stupid humor in it, and John Candy is really, really good. I enjoy him a lot in that film, and it's just one of those ones that whenever I'm like bored and I just need a good laugh, I always just pop it on in the background. It's one of the it's one of my favorite films. Don't know why, but I like it a lot.
The dialogue is so free flowing as well.
Oh, it's ridiculous, and it's just like the whole cast seems to like be having a good time, and they all really bounce off each other really well. Like, the guy who plays Sanka is insane, but like then you have like Yul Brenner. Like, wait, what? How about I draw a line down the middle of your head so it looks like a butt? It's so dumb. It's just a really dumb film.
I don't think I've ever watched that whole movie through.
It's really silly.
It's about the Jamaican Bob team, right?
Jamaican bobsledders, yeah. Yep. And then it's funny. I don't know why I've always liked it, but I like the music in it and stuff too.
Yeah,
it's just fun.
I do remember one of the lines. I think it's like "kiss my lucky egg" or something. Like just the fucking fly down the thing.
I'm not kissing no egg.
Yeah.
Hey, Shadowhunter, I got some people that want to join the chat, but so you don't have the chat put up so they can talk. Is there any way you can do that?
All right. I'll try to sort out now. Yeah. Right. Whilst I'm sorting this out. Have a look here. Yeah. Whilst I'm trying to sort this out. My number 9 film is Spider-Man 2.
Oh, okay. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man.
Yeah.
All right.
I used to love Dr. Octopus.
Yes, Doc Ock. Yeah. I used to just love that film when I was really young, and I think just the look of Doc Ock and like how he turned into who he was, it just fascinated me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, ever since then I've just always loved that film, and just the way that they flow through the film, and also like some of the dialogue as well, and how it turns out in the end. No spoilers, by the way. It's just a very good film, and I put it number 9.
Yeah, people consider it one of the leading comic book films ever made. They would argue that one usually gets thrown around with X-Men 2 as well, and I mean, it'd be hard to argue. I mean, even some of the CGI still actually kind of holds up. I still think Raimi really does this, especially with big IPs like Spider-Man or something. He does this really good thing where he can make his type of style really pop in there, like especially with the operating room scene when the tentacles kill all the doctors. Yeah, I mean, it was very Evil Dead, and that scene's always stuck with me. But man, there's a lot of characters all doing something in that film, and it doesn't feel clunky or wasted. Like every minute counts in that film, and it's really impressive.
Yeah.
The guy that played Doc Ock, I thought he did an outstanding job. He was one of the better villains. Yeah. To me, him and Mysterio were the best 2 villains.
Yeah,
he's good. Well, he has a good motivation. You really get to see this guy who really wants to help humanity, and it just kind of turns on him, and to a point where it's like he still had the same motivation all the way to the end, but somehow it went from like this hopeful, helpful thing to this like dark obsession that kind of like ruined his personality. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. I like a good villain. I don't know if anybody could tell, but I like a good villain.
Don't we all?
Yep. This is true.
Right. Comic, your number 8, please.
My number 8 is Dark Knight, which came out in 2008.
Yes, please.
I love that because I thought Heath Ledger killed it as Joker.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he is the most comic book accurate Joker. Well, someone argue that with Jack Nicholson, but I'm comparing him and Joaquin Phoenix. I think that he is the most comic book accurate Joker between those two. Joaquin Phoenix gave the better realistic performance of something that could happen to someone today. We never really knew what motivated or what turned the Joker into. We always see parts of it, but he said his dad used to abuse and stuff, but they never showed it in the movie. But to me, that movie, whenever he was on screen, he stole the scenes, in my opinion. When everybody first heard Heath Ledger, it was like, I don't know. I don't know if he got the chops to do that, but
the guy from A Knight's Tale and 10 Things I Hate About You, really?
But he turned up the heat. He dialed his inner Joker.
Yep.
And to me, my only regret about that movie is I wish he wouldn't have died, and to see him in the second one.
Yeah.
What he could do, what else he could bring to the table. But to me, that's one of my favorite movies. So I ranked it at number 8.
Oh yeah. Another good choice.
I mean, I don't want to say anything, but I do have this film on my list, just a bit higher up.
It'd be hard not to have that
so
one
many
put on.
movies. There's so many movies. I can't go all superhero. I can't go all. So I tried to put serious, dramatic. I'm surprised I don't have any science fiction on here. I can't believe that, but I don't.
Well, anyways, a strong number 8, The Dark Knight. Brad, what is your number 8? Please.
Well, for the sake of getting you some sci-fi in there, because I'm a big sci-fi guy. I like the idea of using essentially metaphors for the most part to describe certain things. I got to go with Men in Black. I watched it recently because of Men in Black International, which you got. I guess you. I don't like Men in Black International, but I like the first one like a lot. I think it's a really well done film. And granted, I believe it was a comic book too, but I like this idea of this secret organization kind of dealing with aliens that are already here. It's not even like an impending thing. It's like they're already part of the system and we just don't know it. And they use an everyman with Will Smith, who's a cop, and they bring him in, and like his dynamic with Tommy Lee Jones is really, really good. And it's a kind of a basic story, but like with again, I think it's a lot of it has to do with the way it was made. Like back then, like the whole Will Smith dynamic thing wasn't really played out. So it was still, it was neat to see for the first time. The special effects are really awesome. They hold up. Vincent D'Onofrio's the bad guy was really awesome. Like seeing like the deterioration of his host body is like just really neat. Like the attention to detail is really there, especially for something that's so over the top and silly. It's really handled with like an earnest, like, seeing Tommy Lee Jones play this character and play it's so straightforward and so like, just with authority. I thought it was just really good. I seen it recently again, and I forgot how much I really, really enjoyed it. I think it's really good.
What was crazy at the end when they like show the Earth in those bag of Marlboros inside of a damn locker. I was like, oh.
I assume that's just more of a joke thing. I don't consider that to be actually what like.
Yeah, but I was like, damn,
I had canon that one a little bit. I'm like, oh, that was weird. But now pretty much all the stuff going up to it, and like the idea of like the alien inside the human's body, and like they've been around for a really long time since Roswell. Like they were actually here and ingrained into the society. I just think it's fun. I thought it was a cool one.
Yeah,
a lot different from a lot of stuff that had been coming out at the time too. So, or at least been taken seriously, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't like a sci-fi original film feeling like it was making something stupid. They were playing it serious for the most part. So I liked it.
Can't argue with that one.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely agree with you saying that the newer Men in Black's worse than the old one.
I heard the third one was okay. I couldn't bring myself to watch it because I didn't quite like Men in Black 2. But I will say, I think Men in Black 2 has one of the funniest scenes ever with Will Smith trying to get out of the plastic tubing at the end to push the push a button. It's so dumb. It makes me laugh every time. But it's
Yeah.
that was when movies thought Johnny Knoxville was like a legitimate actor. It was a weird time. Remember Dukes of
Yeah.
Hazzard?
Or what's the one when The Rock was a cop?
Walking Tall. Yeah.
Tall.
Yeah, go watch the original Walking Tall. It's much
Yeah,
better.
the original is cool. I like The Rock part, but I didn't like Johnny Knoxville part.
Oh no.
It was stupid.
A very unexpected number 8. I've never really heard anyone talk about how good Men in Black is, to be fair.
It was a different film at the time. And again, I understand, like, when you hear Will Smith nowadays, you're kind of just like, oh, it's Will Smith. But I'm like, him and Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2, it's like, that was like him coming up, like, you know, him doing his movies after Fresh Prince. And it's like, it's kind of like the idea of like Michael Bay wasn't Michael Bay until, you know, you start seeing like Transformers 2. You know, and you're like, oh, geez, this again. You could almost argue Zack Snyder kind of does it too, where it's kind of like, oh, I can tell this is a Zack Snyder film because of the way it looks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think the first Men in Black doesn't get a real shake because I think people forget where it actually came from because you see all the new ones and it's kind of silly. So
yeah, a very strong and unexpected number 8.
There you go.
These are very contrasting number 8s.
I am absolutely going complete subjective entertainment value, but some of these I will fight for that they are constructed very well.
Yeah.
So
my number 8 is Star Wars Episode 5: Empire Strikes Back.
Ooh, pinnacle Star Wars. Yes.
There we go. Well, basically, back in the day, all we used to see in a superhero film is a superhero lose kind of in the first act, find a way in the second act, and absolutely kick the shit out of the villain in the third act.
Hmm.
We don't see that in Episode 5. We see Luke on Hoth getting ready to just see Ben as the Force goes, Ben telling him to go meet Yoda. He goes to train for a short while. It might be 5 days or 5 months. Never know. And then we see him lose to Darth Vader. We see Han get frozen. And we see Leia, Lando, and Chewie nearly die from the stormtroopers who can't aim for shit. But yeah, back then, 1980, there wasn't really many films that showed the good guys losing, which is also a problem I feel like the newer Star Wars films have. They don't make the good guys go through the bad stuff to get to the good stuff. Like Rey, she's too overpowered at the start.
Yeah.
They tried to show us a bit of a training, but it didn't really help her in the long run.
People like to see progression because it makes it feel a little more relatable. Yeah. It's a big thing.
Yeah, because in real life, there's always going to be someone who's better than you, and you have to be prepared for it. And Luke wasn't prepared for it. And also, we obviously know the most famous line in film history. Luke, I am your father.
Yeah. Or it's, no, I am your father.
And we were ruled as father and son.
But I mean, God, there's so much iconic stuff in there. I mean, because you already think about all the stuff with Yoda. You think about the I love you, I know. You get the like you said, kind of having the darker middle movie. It's one of the first times you really get to see that in film form. I'm sure it happened in books that had 2 or 3 parts or something like that, where you have this cliffhanger for people to rise above. But you know, in cinema, you don't really get that because even trilogies back then weren't really a thing. And so seeing it just was innovating all over the place. And it's so different from the first, from A New Hope, and then it's definitely different from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So I think that one, I think that's the reason why that one stands there. And I would always make the argument it's always hard not to have one. I don't want to take anything away from it, but it's hard when you have that big cliffhanger because it'll sit in your mind for so long because you're gonna have this reaction and anticipation for the conclusion. So it's in your head a little bit longer. So but man, again, you know, John Williams music carrying it through and good visual stuff, and you know, you're getting bounty hunters and Lando Calrissian and all this stuff. It's hard not to put that one on somebody's list, you know.
Yeah, I would have put Revenge at Sith there, but I feel like Empire Strikes Back's more special.
Yeah, I could see that.
Right, the number 8s are complete, and so far we have some very interesting picks. I wouldn't say the bad picks. Personally, I think I haven't seen one, and I think it was comics number 10. Something like Cuckoo Nest or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that. I searched it up, but it had like a 8.9 rating on IMDb, so it must be good.
Yeah, it's good, man. I guarantee you, check it out, you'll like it.
All right, something I will do in the near future. Anyways, on to our number 7. Comic, would you like to start?
Yeah, I got another old one for you. Probably haven't seen this one, but I'm pretty sure John has. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, starring Clint Eastwood, who was the all-time best gunslinger I've ever seen. I love all his movies. Good and Bad, the Ugly, Outlaw Josie Wells, Hang 'em High, a few dollars more. Oh man, all his movies, his cowboy movies are fantastic. This came out in 1967. I wasn't even born yet, but my dad got me on the times I could start watching TV and understanding. He put me on the Clint Eastwood path. This is basically Clint Eastwood. They call him Blondie in this movie, and somebody hired some money, and he knew the name on the graveyard on the site where the money was buried at, and another guy knew which graveyard it was, so they had to work together to try and get the money. And Clint Eastwood was considered the good in the movie. The bad was another guy played by Lee Van Cleef, I think his name was. And I can't think who Tuco played, who his real name was, but he played Tuco. He was the ugly. And basically, Blondie and Tuco had this little scam going where Tuco would get hung in these towns for stealing or doing something crazy. And then Clint Eastwood would always come and shoot him down each time just before he got hung.
Oh, right.
Because he was a sharpshooter. And then they found out somebody stole some money and hid it in this gravesite, but they had to go through all the enemy lines because it was a war going through that time. But this movie is fantastic. If you like Clint Eastwood westerns, or if you're a fan of westerns, you would definitely like this one because it's classic Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. Just looking at it now, I think I've seen this film. I remember some of these shots, definitely. And looking at the time of it, 4 hours long, near enough.
Mm.
Definitely something a Western back then wouldn't have been common to do, but it turned out well for this film. And yeah.
It's hard to go wrong with good Clint Eastwood stuff. It was weird. It was weird that Danny, brought up the part about how it's like they have to go get this, like essentially their quote unquote treasure from from behind enemy lines. It reminds me of another Clint Eastwood film. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you like Good, Bad, and the Ugly, you should check this one out. It's called Kelly's Heroes. It's got
never heard of that one.
It's got like Donald Sutherland, Clint Eastwood, and we're talking like young Clint Eastwood. Like these guys are like in their 20s, like they're kids basically. If you ever get a chance, it's I believe it's a World War II film, and there's a bunch of Nazi gold in this like behind enemy lines, and Clint Eastwood takes like a little ragtag team into the enemy lines to go and try and get it. It's pretty cool. Like the guy who plays Monk, I can't remember his name right now. He's in it. It's so crazy. Like these guys look like they're like 18, 20 years old. My dad made me watch it. It was awesome. Just since you like Clint Eastwood. Yeah. I was just thinking about it.
I will definitely check that out.
Yeah. A strong number 7 from Comic. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yep.
Obviously, you get the iconic songs from that time as well.
Good stuff.
Yep. All right, Bad, what is your number 7?
Speaking of good music, you guys are gonna laugh. I have to watch this every Christmas. I think it's great. It's called Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, I've seen that. That's a good film.
I am not kidding, and I am not memeing when I say it might be one of my favorite, definitely my favorite Muppet movie ever made, and it might be my favorite Christmas film ever made. Starring Michael Caine as Scrooge, and then they have all the Muppets playing all the other characters for the most part, but they interact with other humans and stuff too. And I'm not gonna lie, as a kid, this is something that's I've been willing to make fun of myself for a very long time. Is that the Muppet Christmas Carol was the first live action or like movie or TV storytelling of A Christmas Carol. So for the rest of my life, I thought for a really long time that Christmas Carol was a musical because of the fact it had the word Carol in it. So I'm like, oh, all right. So I remember watching a Patrick Stewart version of it on like TNT one time, and I got like 30 minutes in, and I was getting annoyed. I was getting bored because I was like, why hasn't nobody sung a song yet? And then somebody broke it to me, and I felt like the biggest dumbass in the world. But like I said, this is a classic story that's been told a billion times, and the Muppets have always just been kind of fun for me. It's kind of just like a kid in me kind of thing. Like I like shows like Alf and stuff like that. So, but it has some really, really nice music in it. Like a lot of really cute songs. And like Michael Caine, again, it's weird because it's strange how actors are willing to bring like their A game when they're surrounded by a bunch of cloth. And this is it's a fun thing. And like they crafted all these Muppets for the ghosts, and they had the instead of Bob Marley, they made Marley Brothers with using the Waldorf and Statler, the two old dudes who are assholes. He had them being his business partners, which I thought was funny, and it's so childish, but I watch it every year, and for some reason I just never hate it. I always think about it, and again, I'm big into good music. And a lot of good original songs in it, and it's really dumb, but I like a good Christmas. I like a good Christmas movie. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Never expected anyone to say the Muppet Christmas Carol.
You're not by yourself.
Look, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, this is not me saying these are the ones that are going to go on the Criterion collection or anything like that. These are the ones that I'm like, if you haven't seen them, go watch them because they're fun. Yeah. or they did something different or special.
Yeah, it is a good film. Look at
the category was movies of all time. You know, good one ain't no movie of all time.
For me, for me, it's one that I'll watch. It's one I'll watch because, like, if you want one, if you want something that's like, oh, it's so inspiring and blah blah blah, I'd be like, well, yeah. I mean, I'd probably say like Ben-Hur or something like that, or Citizen Kane. But it's like I'm not watching Citizen Kane every year. You know what I mean? So
that's fair point.
This is my subjective list. For the internet out there,
your personal opinion.
Yeah. I don't think Christmas Carol was getting an Oscar. This is just let me throw that out. Let me throw that out there. You know what I mean? I'm not delusional.
Thing is, I'm looking at the date when it was released. I thought it would be released in like the 60s or 70s. It was released in 1992.
Yep, 92 is like my favorite year for movies almost. Like 92 to like 97.
Yeah,
pretty much like peak. But that was because I was like a kid.
Yeah, but yeah. Never expected anyone to say the Muppet Christmas Carol. That's not what I ever thought of.
I'm getting my weird ones out of the way, dude. I'm getting my weird ones out of the way early.
Better to be weird than normal, I always say.
Hey, why not? Keep it interesting.
Exactly. Right.
Whatever, Danny. Danny's gonna go watch it tonight.
No,
and then he's gonna watch it every Christmas after.
I think
negative.
I think he's gonna stick with Home Alone.
Nah,
I don't like that.
I'm forced to watch Frosty and Rudolph every year. My wife has to watch that shit every year.
Oh dear, I feel sorry for you.
What, you don't like the elf that wants to be a dentist? How dare you?
God.
How dare
Not
you?
50 years. I'll be 50 this year. I don't see it every year. I've been on Earth. Okay, I don't need to see it no more.
Well, that's
At
your
least, at least 45 of those years, I'll say.
your number 7, The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. My number 7 is also a more recent one. It's Joker.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just Joaquin Phoenix's performance in this is really good. I don't think you could compare it to Heath Ledger's because they're very different scenarios.
Mhm.
Joaquin Phoenix's is the birth of one of the greatest movie villains of all time and comic villains. Whilst Heath Ledger, he tried to show the chaos and the anarchy that he can cause in a short period of time.
Mhm.
Which is also what I love about this film. It's not all action; it's more in-depth storytelling.
Yep.
And you can definitely see that through the way that Todd Phillips, I think his name is, the way he does his cinematography, and also I can't remember the composer, but the way that he used the music as well.
It's like Greta. So it's the same person who did Chernobyl, from what I remember.
Probably,
Yeah, I remember the score being like really, really cool.
yeah.
Haunting would probably be the word I pick.
Yeah. This film also shows a different side to how Gotham is before. Because in this film, in most films before that, you see Joker as the big bad guy. But in this film, you sympathize with him. You kind of start to see Batman as the bad guy. Batman as the bad guy instead of Joker. You see Joker as how he says he is, the savior of Gotham. And you can see that through this film, which I really love. Just gives a different toll on Gotham as a whole, and I just love it.
Oh, here we go. I wanted to check that out. No, I was thinking Greta Gerwig for some reason, and I think that's the chick who did fucking Little Women. No, the composer's Hildur Guðnadóttir. I could never pronounce that name to save my life. Good. I'm assuming she's German.
Yep, I see what you mean. Oh, she's Icelandic.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was accidentally racist to my own people.
So Hilda, shout out to you. You did a brilliant composition of Joker.
Oh, it's so good.
Literally, it's like mainly violin as well, which just shows like Joker's old-fashioned way of looking into things as well.
No, it's I mean the term character study gets thrown around for this film a lot, and I would still I'm still willing to tell people I have no problem if you switch some names around and taken away the whole Gotham dynamic and the DC thing. I think the film is still good. Maybe not as many eyes would have gotten on it, but the word of mouth would have stayed just as strong. And it wouldn't have taken away from how good the film actually is. It's nice to see something a little bit more slow and methodical that really actually crescendos into this big, crazy, rage-inducing riot, conclusion. And everybody's like, oh, it's weird because you end up like, it's really neat to go on the journey with Arthur Fleck because you sympathize for him and almost empathize for him the whole way through, and you're kind of rooting for the guy until a certain scene on a subway, and you're kind of like, oh no, like I'm not necessarily backing you anymore, but I want to see how this plays out.
So the subway didn't get me is when he killed his mother. That's when I kind of flipped. I was like,
spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm not.
When
they seen it by now, they in trouble.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. When he tracks down the first two guys on the subway, I'm fine with. It was when he tracked down the third one, and I go, okay.
I think he did it because he just had enough. He just
yeah,
in that moment. So I'm not really mad at that, but
it just makes you think.
What he did to his mother, I was like, nah.
Well, that's when it's over. I mean, because he even says the line, right before he does it, about the. I realize it's a comedy, that kind of thing. And it's like, Oh, okay. Yeah, he's done. He's completely
Yeah.
flipped the switch. He is descended into madness, and now here we go. Let's see what happens when he's unleashed.
To the voices.
That, and
It's-
then
yep.
when he shot that guy that kind of fucked him at the job,
Yeah.
Yep.
he still showed compassion to the midget.
To poor Gary. I'll never forget in the cinema the little dark comedy moment where he's killed one guy, and then he had locked the door, and I'm like, oh no,
Guy
Gary he can't reach it, and you're like, oh no, and then he let him out, and you get to see that like there's still a little bit of Arthur in there, like he's only doing it to people he deems bad or have wronged him in some way.
Yeah.
So there's still a bit of morality there, but at the same time, you're like, I'm so not on your side at this point. Like
it's kind of like a Venom moment. Whenever Eddie Brock told Venom, you cannot hurt good people, only bad people. So it kind of remind me of that just a little bit.
It's good. It's a good film. I think it's gonna stand the test of time. It's really good stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Our number 7's about the way. We had The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. We had The Muppets Christmas Carol. And Joker.
There you go. I think those should all play triple feature right there.
Oh my God.
If I see those films at a cinema, now screening The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Muppets Christmas Carol, and The Joker, I'd be so confused.
That would be the order I'd watch it in too, to be completely honest.
The Joker's the better out of the three. Well,
to be fair,
it depends on your cup of tea.
Yeah, it would be hard because like the length is a thing for Good and Bad and the Ugly.
Yeah, it was long as hell.
But man, if you like a good Western, that's like pinnacle Western, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I'd save The Muppets Christmas Carol till last so I can actually have something to sleep to.
I concur.
All right. Just before we move on to number 6, do you guys want to tell the lovely people watching right now where they can find you on YouTube and Twitter?
Okay.
All right. Bud, you first.
You can find me on Twitter with the handle that you see right here. Pretty much my main shows are I do a weekly podcast with the host at Mike Shrews. We've been doing it for almost 2 years now at Operation Babel. We pretty much just do what everybody does. We just talk about whatever's going on, whatever we're thinking about when it comes to pop culture, or just honestly now it's just social events and whatever's going on in the world. Then I am on every Sunday with Danny himself, Terrence and Anzo for Equilibrium. We'll see how long that lasts before they kick me to the Phantom Zone permanently. Other than that, you can see me on YouTube at BMB Studios or Bald Man Bad, where I from time to time put up some gaming stuff or rants or something like that. So
I have to make an entrance. Sorry. If I don't make an entrance, then it's just not me. And John's been here jabbing long enough, I think, that
Chris Knight, at this point, you're so late, you might as well just be Chris. I'll be there tomorrow night.
Really? That's all you can come up with?
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I'm sorry,
footage.
When Danny's got my back, that's when I know I did good.
It's stock footage at this point. That's all that was. It's like, pull it. We'll fix it in post.
Soundboard.
That's as good as you can do. Okay, have you guys gone through all your stuff?
No, we're on number 6. We're just
Okay.
about to start it.
Can I go 10 through 7 and get mine out of the way?
Go nuts.
Yeah. Go on.
And you're giving us time to talk about it and all that.
Yeah.
Not forever. Since your
I'm
ass late.
not going to. I'm going to go through this really quick. Okay, so
What's one?
number 10, Matrix. Why what they did to it? I mean, it was so new, so weird, different. We hadn't seen that. And unfortunately, they screwed the pooch from that point on. But the Matrix itself, the first one was damn near perfect.
Second wasn't bad.
The second one started up here where the first one was, and like did this, and then it was like
Wasn't bad, 'cause, man.
Don't forget about the Burly Brawl, Danny. The Burly Brawl is brutal.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the second. I mean, I liked them all in their own way, but they're
I
just
like the
nowhere
fight
near.
scene with him and Mr. Smith in the parking.
Yeah, but I don't know. They did a little too much CGI there, and it became really obvious as it went on. I mean, I don't know.
I could tell, but I still like that shit.
Yeah, it just that scene isn't gonna age well. Like the first Matrix, to this day you could play it, and even with all the old phone stuff in it and all that, it still works because they tell you it's in the 90s. They date it right from the get-go, and you can watch it and it'll never change because that's what was around. And so I think it works well. Number 9, Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. It's probably my least favorite of the original trilogy. That's why it's there. I thought about putting the Revenge of the Sith in there. I thought about putting Revenge of the Sith there, but I kept it all original trilogy in this that I bring up because that's what led to what we got with the prequels. And unfortunately, the prequels are not what we got led to with the new ones. Again, hindsight's always 2020. You want to bitch about those prequels? Look at the new one and then talk to me. Okay. And the thing is, I like the final fight between Luke and Darth Vader. I really do like that, and it wraps up so well Luke's story, which I know is his father's story at that point. But we've learned Luke, and we've seen him almost turn like his father did. And the best part about that movie is when he throws the lightsaber over and says, "No, I'm not going to do this. I'm not you. I'm gonna stop it right here." It was really powerful. The Ewoks got a little Chotsky like, but it was all right. It wasn't like some of the stuff they've thrown at us recently.
Merchandising.
Yeah, it was, but hey, but he understood how to merchandise without totally selling out your film.
Well,
yeah, baby.
I
was
think
that?
one example of that.
Yeah, baby Yoda.
Yeah. The only bad example of merchandise is probably Jar Jar Binks.
How dare
Yeah.
you? The best character in the world. If he would have gotten him to work, he would have been the key to all of it.
He would have.
I think that the whole rumor of him being like a Dark Lord of the Sith, I almost believe that he would have gone that route. I almost believe
The person who
Luke
made
is-
that video on YouTube, they
Dude.
sold that shit so good. I was believing it. It was
exactly.
that's a really well done video.
If you want to watch a video, guys, I'm telling you right now, go watch that video. Look up Jar Jar Binks, Dark Lord of the Sith, or something like that, and
so
it's
yeah.
It's so funny.
it is. It's crazy. But all right. So let's see here. Number 8, Temple of Doom. I like Temple of Doom. A lot of people don't. The reason why, yeah,
Yeah, people consider
What?
that the weaker of the original.
I think they say it's the weakest. It's the third weakest of the 4 because I do count the fourth one. The fourth, here, listen, the fourth one has every element of an
Man,
Indiana
Lost
Jones
Crusade was
film.
on point. Me,
Which one?
The Lost Crusader.
We'll get around to that maybe. But the Temple of Doom, it has some really bold choices if you follow the timeline. One, it happens before Raiders. It's before all of them. So this is still Indy not being Indy. He hasn't yet really become what you see in Raiders because this is before Raiders. He's kind of more of a grave robber in a way. He's more of a soldier of fortune in a sense. And this movie and what happens in it, I think, is why the other 2 movies work because they're religious. And I think that's him, and his fascination is turned to religion because it's kind of what saves him. Now, I'm not trying to get religious on anybody. I'm just saying that if you know the timeline and they follow it, Temple of Doom makes for a much better film once you know what's going on and once you understand that this is before Indy became what we know as Indy. And then, the bold choice is like it was going to be rated R, and Steven Spielberg pushed for PG-13. In fact, the first 2 or 3 films that were PG-13, I think, were his, or he had something to do with. I know this was I think the second one. I think this was the second PG-13. It was either the first or the second one. I can't remember, but that changed the industry because it gave us the ability. And I don't know if this is how strict are we on language here, Shadow?
I don't get paid, so go with whatever you want.
So PG-13, allocates you one fuck in a movie at least. Some have gotten away with more, but it just depends on how you frame it.
Well, it was a lot more loose back then too. You could get a booby.
Well, they were feeling it out literally. Now that you mentioned that, and you still can. It just depends on, I think, how you frame everything.
Wasn't Porky's PG-13 or something?
I don't think so. I think it got R, but I can't.
I think in our standards now it did. I don't think
it would have gotten PG-13 now. Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know. There's some full naked women.
There's some.
So yeah, I think that would still be rated R. But think of Tomb Raider, and when it shows the side boob and stuff like that, that stuff is allowed now in PG-13, and that's because of this film. Because he had done Raiders, and when they blew up the head and stuff like that, they decided that it was going to be rated R, so they had to do tons of reshoots and tons of effects on top of effects to make it so they could pass it along to PG. So Temple of Doom, thank you. You gave us PG-13, so now we can see some tits and ass with our kids. So,
yay! We all have them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I put it.
Yeah. Number 7, Star Wars, the original. I call it Star Wars still to this day, not A New Hope, because it was Star Wars to me. Man, I don't remember going to see this the first time because I was 3 months old. But I got to see it at the drive-in, and I've seen every movie since in the theater. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm a Star Wars freak that way. I've seen them. I've seen all the redos on the THX re-releases. I saw the special edition right before the Phantom Menace came out, and then when Attack of the Clones came out, they played all 5. Then they played all 6, and I went to all of that. And I spent a whole day watching these things in the theater one time. So that's my top. That's my first 4. So we're on 6. So we can go back to however we were doing this.
Right.
Seeing as I had to be waited on because I'm important like that.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody's like, yeah, okay, shut up.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Let's just swiftly move on.
Shadow's got to drink his tea politely right now.
I don't drink tea.
Wait, no, that's wrong. Wouldn't your people fucking disown you if you don't drink tea?
Yes.
How that works?
He's proud to say he is disowned. He has a letter from the Queen Mum.
Hello, Mom.
Sorry.
All right. Well, before we get arrested for being so racist, we'll move on to number 6, shall we?
Yes.
All right. Comment, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is a recent movie. It's called The Upside.
Oh,
yeah.
It's based on a true story starring Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston, where basically Kevin Hart was down and out in his luck, probably a few steps away from being a deadbeat dad, but he's able to get a job with Bryan Cranston, who was like an adventurer and thrill seeker and a gazillionaire. And I think Cranston did it just to piss off people in his life, but lo and behold, they became best friends, and he saw Kevin Hart's world, Kevin Hart saw his world. Bryan Cranston was able to get some money out of an asshole who thought Kevin Hart's painting was really something valuable and something that people wanted to help set him up on his own job, which he did. He was able to support his family, but Bryan Cranston was going through some stuff. A lady did him really bad because I think he used to like the sky surf or some shit, whatever the hell they call it. And he got into a bad accident, was a paraplegic, couldn't do anything for himself. And Kevin Hart was able to drag him out of his depression. They became friends, and the person that was helping Bryan Cranston the whole time, I think it was Nicole
Kidman.
Nicole Kidman, I think, was a love interest. And then at the end, Kevin Hart was able to get them together. And he realized that he loved her, and it was a real touching movie. A lot of times, if you watch Kevin Hart movies, he does the same thing over and over. He did a lot of Kevin Hart, but he also did a little bit more acting. And I think he was out of his comfort zone more so than he's ever been. And I really enjoyed the movie. In fact, I bought it, it's sitting on my desk. And when I was compiling this list at work today, I saw it. I said, I got to put it down in here. So to me, that was one of the best movies I've seen last year. I think it came out 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Did you ever see the French one that it was it was made after? I think it's called The Untouchables.
I didn't see that one.
Heard that was good too. It came out in like 2011, I think, or something.
But I like movies that are based on true stories, and this was based on a true story.
I agree.
So, it was a real cool film.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. It takes Kevin Hart more out of his comfort zone. Because before he was just used to taking the piss out of Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
But now he actually goes into a love story here and gets friends and finds someone he loves.
I even make the argument like Kevin Smith is like Kevin Smith, damn it. Kevin Hart kind of reminds me of like a Jack Black or something. And it's funny that we've talked about Jumanji lately because I watched the original and then watched Welcome to the Jungle. It was refreshing to see The Rock, Kevin Hart not be them because they had to play the characters that the kids were originally, and it kind of showed their range a little bit more instead of them just being them, which was cool, and it kind of made me go, oh shit, Kevin Hart can actually act. It's kind of impressive.
I ain't giving him no Oscar or nothing.
Yeah, but he's still good.
He was stretched a little. He was stretched his acting chops a little more than he did in his previous movies. Because in the previous movies, he's just Kevin Hart being Kevin Hart, just with a different name. But on this one, he actually had to kind of dig a little deeper. So, well,
I would hope so when you're going to, next to Nicole Kidman and Bryan frickin' Cranston, man. Like, come on.
Oof. I think I could tell that Bryan probably showed him some tips and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
In the movie, it looked like I don't know if it translated into real life, but I could see them becoming cool based on the chemistry they had on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that it's always good. I'd almost say it's what Keaton did. It's what Tom Hanks did. When you step out of a role that you're normally in, which is in Kevin Hart's case, comedy most of the time, when you step out and you look for something that you can still be somewhat comedic at times, but you're expanding your horizons, trying to find something a little more serious that has some actual story and depth to it. When you do that, you're actually saying to not only yourself, but to casting agents and other things is, I want to have parts that aren't just this. And look what it did for Tom Hanks. Look what it did for Michael Keaton. Bill Murray is a good example too. Yeah.
Jim Carrey with the Truman Show.
Oh, damn. Yeah. The Truman Show. I probably should have put that on this, but oh well.
I would have.
But no, the Truman Show is a great thing. And actually, Jim Carrey had done one for like Lifetime where he played an alcoholic father or something. I can't remember. And that was when I first saw that, I was like, what the hell? I've never seen this movie. And I watched it. I'm like, he wasn't even funny in that. It was deadpan serious. It's crazy when you see that from a guy. Mm-hmm. If you want to know about that, talk to.
Then when he played Dr. Robotnik in Sonic.
Yeah, exactly. But if you want to talk about that, talk to. Now I can't even remember his name. Pulp Fiction director.
Tarantino?
Thank you, Quentin Tarantino. Because that's why he got where he got, because he was working at a video store, and when he see these famous people come in, he'd name their oddball roles that they liked, but nobody else watched, and they were impressed by how much he knew about film and the other stuff that they were doing. That it actually made people say, "This guy knows something," and that's how he got in the door.
I got a free picture from the Soup Nazi at a Comic-Con because I brought up his role in Scrubs.
Oh, you see, but that's what people love, though. It's when you don't mention what they're known for.
Oh yeah,
like when you go up to Mark Hamill and you say something like, "I love you" in like such and such video game.
Can you do your Joker voice?
Yeah. Well, you see, Joker, I like his Joker, but you want to talk about something he doesn't have to talk about all the time. It's like a fresh breath of air when you're, especially like a Comic-Con, when everybody's mentioning Joker or Luke Skywalker, and you bring up what?
Or Chucky.
Well, Chucky, I think might.
I was just about to say, Mark, remember when you did that really bad movie called Child's Play?
But
Ugh.
I think people appreciate that. So but yeah, Upside's definitely a good movie.
That's a good call.
That's a long ways around to get back to that.
Well, number 6 is, I forgot the name, but we'll just move on to Bad's
Upside.
Upside.
Yeah, that was his.
Number 6 is, what comics number 6? Upside.
Mhm.
Bad? Your turn? 6.
Since everybody's talking franchises lately, I'll throw one out there. I just recently went back and rewatched it. The Fellowship of the Ring, the first of the 3 Lord of the Rings films.
Mhm.
We decided to finally go back and rewatch them, my girlfriend and I, and the original take for me is I always thought Two Towers was the best because I really liked all the stuff with Rohan and Helm's Deep is obviously one of the coolest battles put to film ever.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot, and obviously there's a lot of comedy thrown in there too that I never realized how much. But after going back and rewatching them, I gotta say Fellowship's the strongest one.
It is.
You get all the music, you get to see all the characters get thrown together, and it ends with the cliffhanger. So again, we kind of talked about like the same with Empire. I felt like you really had this like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens because of the way that all your heroes are together. We see somebody die, and then they all have to go their separate ways for reasons, and it's really neat. And you get to see this quick development too with all these characters, like with Bilbo and the Shire, to they go from this safe place to they've seen some of the most extraordinary things that their people have ever seen with the hobbits, and it's just really cool. And oh hell man, the music is so good, and I just think it's the editing and the time that they use for Fellowship is a lot more fluid, and it really it just seems really focused versus the other ones that kind of have a lot to say and they want to put in a lot of stuff and really entertain the folks. But I felt the first one was really there to set everything up and be as precise and detailed as possible. And I love the way that they set up the franchise with that first movie.
Peter Jackson probably could have put the first 30 minutes to a quarter of the second of the Two Towers in the Fellowship of the Rings, but he decided to take time and attention to really dive into the characters.
Mhm.
Because the way the other 2 movies work is because the characters so well because of that first movie. And even though there's a lot to ingest in the Two Towers and Return of the King, it's because of that first movie that you can do that. Because now you don't have to learn about these characters. The characters you need to know about, the ones you get to learn about, you get enough out of it. You learn enough about them that it just kind of works together.
And I feel bad saying it, but the next 2 kind of pull up Return of the Jedi. They have this kind of like, okay, calm down. You're putting a lot of stuff in here, and you're going a little bit overtly grandiose, and you're not explaining quite as much.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing some issues, especially when you're going to be removing certain characters from the book. Everybody always wants to ask me because I'm one of the Fellowship stands, like the Lord of the Rings, where I think that's the better trilogy. Sorry, internet.
It is.
And people always want to justify the whole not having Tom Bombadil in it, and I say I'm glad they didn't, because I feel like it takes away the how torturous the ring is to the bearer when you have a character that's just like, nah, I'm good. Like I could touch it and use it and do whatever because I don't care. So I just think Peter Jackson did something that it's very difficult for a lot of filmmakers to do, and he adapted something where the majority liked it. I'm not going to say everybody because that's almost an impossible task, but when it comes to adapting books, even people who like love Harry Potter, most people are just like, yeah, they're good. Like I've even like huge Harry Potter fans tend to just kind of go, yeah, they're good. And that's it. They're not like over the moon, like about the movies, but they're always like, the books are great and the world is cool. And I like all the stuff about it. But Lord of the Rings, it's like, man,
you have a device. There's so much in those books.
Oh,
so
yeah.
much that what they did get on screen is amazing in its own right.
Yes.
No, I totally agree because I've watched. I started to watch the Hobbit trilogy, and it's kind of difficult to watch.
Magic's not there. The passion doesn't. It's not there.
If they had done it immediately after this trilogy,
maybe
it might have been okay. But I think they went too far down the line. CGI, a bunch of a lot of stuff changed in Hollywood between the two.
Again, I'll always say GoPro footage in the first one. Can't do it. I can't let it pass. So anyway, yeah, Fellowship. There you go. There's my what, 6, 5? What?
Yeah, you're
There you go. There you go.
an interesting 6th. Fellowship of the Ring. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I couldn't tell by your avatar.
Well, we all have different tastes.
Oh, yeah.
And mine's just a bit. I don't know how to describe it, but I'll just say it's a bit out there. So, my number 6 has got to be Back to the Future.
Ooh, good call.
I thought about putting those on there, but
Back to the Future is just an amazing franchise. When I used to do film studies, this was one of the first films I'd go back and reevaluate and look into. And since then, it's always stuck with me because it's introduced me to the world of film and just this incredible thing that I'm learning now. And also, just the film's really good. Dissecting it into like the 3 acts, it's just very consistent. Neat together, and also obviously you gotta praise John Williams for his brilliant composition again with the music. And yeah, I think they did a really good job with casting Michael J. Fox, and I think it's Christopher Lloyd, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, for Doc.
Emmett Brown.
You know
Yeah.
who originally was supposed to be Marty McFly? They even shot a bunch of scenes with him too.
Eric Stoltz.
Correct. You are.
And no, they shot like 75% of that movie, and they scrapped it because Michael J. Fox was supposed to be there the first time, and then his family ties shooting schedule wouldn't allow it. That poor kid did he was doing 20-hour days almost in shooting, and he would ride in the back of a station wagon and sleep on a single mattress, a twin mattress.
There's rumors we're gonna get to see a ton of that footage eventually.
There's it's out there.
Yeah.
They have it. They didn't get rid of it.
There's some. I want to see it. I'd like to see it.
Of it. Of like
What was that?
I've seen like 2-3 clips of the deleted scenes.
Yeah,
It's like
There's a lot.
yeah, it's like the opening scene, and then I think
the parking lot.
There's a parking lot. The scene in the backyard with his dad. They have all of that.
Yeah.
And I think those are the 2 big ones that I know they have out there.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I think that there might be some from the town, the square, in the 50s when they're getting ready to put the wire up and all that. But I can't remember everything else. But no, that's a great movie though. Back to the Future, still to this day, is probably one of the best trilogies. It holds up really well, and the best thing about it is Bob, or Robert Zemeckis and Robert
Scorsese.
No, the producer
Robert Zemeckis.
Robert Zemeckis, and who's the other guy? The other Bob.
Your mom.
No, but anyways. The 2 Bobs have flat out said, as long as they're alive, there will never be a redo or another one.
Yeah, I think it's Bob Gale or something like that.
Yeah, Bob Gale. And there's talks that they've kind of figured out a way to make that go even farther than their death. There's talks that they're going to leave the rights to somebody that they know that's close to them that's going to kind of ride it out even longer than that. So I don't think we're ever going to see anything other than the Back to the Futures we have to this day.
Yeah, I feel like with the modern Hollywood, they'll just ruin Back to the Future anyway.
Well, they will.
Yeah.
And like they've said, they've even said that there's no point in a fourth one unless something comes up that's absolutely a point to make it. Because Christopher Lloyd has said, I think he's trolling people when he says this, but he's like, well, we could do it about the global changes and all that. And I think he's trolling people. I think
Back to the Future in space.
Come on, Marty, we got to go back. Where? To the future. What future? We have to go to the moon.
We have to figure out why they deplanetized Pluto. We got to figure out why. They're crazy, Marty. They're crazy. NASA's insane.
We got
There's Nazis on the moon.
Spaceship before they reach the moon.
Yeah. There's Nazis on the moon.
I tried to fix this
conspiracy theory. That's just a bit stupid.
Yeah.
What? How dare you? I saw Iron Sky. There are absolutely Nazis on the moon. How dare you?
And there's a Nazi base underneath Antarctica.
Yes.
Absolutely. And
Why would there not be?
And the Earth is flat.
Well, I mean, duh.
That's no. The Earth's a rectangle.
Yeah.
It's actually.
I get to the edge and I fall off onto the next continent.
Terrible. Yeah. All right. Back to the Future. Chris, what do you
Number
have?
6, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That sounds like you're a nerd.
I am a nerd. Thank you very much. Well, that's why I have a video called "What It Means to Be a Geek in 2019." I mean, yeah. Raiders, man. Jeez.
Dude, Oakland? I know, right?
Yeah, I know. Right?
Tell me about it.
I'm a Chiefs fan, though. Sorry. Yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry, we won the championship.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I know. That's because your team hasn't sniffed it for a while.
Oh man.
Raiders, yeah, man. I remember being a kid and watching that movie, and the scene at the beginning with the stone just rolling. I don't know how many times we'd be playing out in the yard and try to recreate that scene. We had a pretty thick forest outside of the back of like the backyard of my house, and we used to go up there and swing from vines and play like we were in Indiana Jones. And
in the fourth one, right?
No,
with the monkeys.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
More like the whip from when he goes over
Bondage. Yeah, hot.
Yeah, no, that's your next movie. Oh, so is that what's next for you? Is 50 Shades of Grey?
69 Shades.
Yeah.
Nice.
But Raiders, man, just everything behind that. That's the again. You can trace all this back to Jaws, which I would have put on here, but yeah, Jaws started everything. Truthfully, once it became a hit, Spielberg was allowed to kind of pull in George Lucas to get his project done, which was Star Wars. Which, when Star Wars was finished, George Lucas was afraid that it was going to be a flop, so he ran off to Hawaii with his wife, and Steven Spielberg went with him. So we got Raiders from that, and so on and so forth. So all of this kind of ties in together. Plus, they were film school buddies. But Raiders is just excellently done. The practical effects used, how they did all of that, it's just amazing. If you don't know how they did the melting face by now, there's some great videos on YouTube of people recreating it and talking about it. It's amazing. And if you've studied film, I mean, the amount of practical effects that were used in the original 3 of those movies, and lesser so, but still somewhat in the 4th one. It's amazing because that was kind of the whole thing they were going for, is that serial, make it look old, make it shoot them old school style, fast and loose to blur the effects, and just kind of everything was done the way that it was done back in the day in the 30s and 40s and 50s with serials and stuff. And definitely a really good movie, a nostalgic movie that was for a new generation.
Well, it's hard to argue because it's like, fucking hot take here, but Raiders is the most iconic one for some reason. Like, don't get me wrong, like Crusade's great.
Yeah.
Temple of Doom has some moments, but when people think Indiana Jones, 90% of the time you're good. Other than like you chose poorly from like Last Crusade,
Well, that
most of your memes are coming from Raiders. The boulder,
Yeah.
the whip,
Yeah.
the golden thingy,
Mhm.
the
it was
guy with
put-
the sword, and then you shoot it. All that
several
stuff.
years later in '89, Weird Al, the beginning of this movie is the whole beginning scene of Raiders, just because, and that was still what that's like 6-7 years after the fact.
Yeah.
And all but the last one had been done, and actually that year the last one came out, so he probably could have figured out and stolen some of the scenes from that movie. But the thing here is that I guess because of the things that they did, the scene where he's being dragged by the troop transport, the scene where he pulls out his gun, which was completely ad-libbed. I mean, when you learn again, John, I know you're like this. I'm pretty sure Shadow, since you studied film, I studied film. You dive into this stuff and you try to find every iota of things you can, especially about the movies you love. So when he pulls out the gun, he was dog sick that day.
Yeah, it's food poisoning from catering.
Yeah, and he didn't even want to do the scene, so he pulls the gun out, and they did it, and the guy acted along with it. And
even though he was pissed, because he had a whole fight scene ready to go,
and Spielberg loved it. He's like, keep it, do it that way. And then you find out like they took down all like thousands of antennas for the wide shots, and just all the stuff they did in that movie. But the scenes people talk about when it comes to any Indiana Jones film, majority of them are going to come from Raiders.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But good film. Good.
Yeah. I say one thing we didn't mention was like the near perfect casting for Indiana Jones, which is Harrison Ford himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then who would have thought to put Sean Connery as his dad? It's like his dad has this crazy.
Do you know why that was
Scottish
done?
accent, but it's great.
Do you know why that was done?
Why?
Because Steven Spielberg wanted to. Okay, so the reason why the second one has a musical number to open up with is because he wanted to do a musical. So they did the musical part at the beginning of the second one. The reason why they got Sean Connery is because Steven Spielberg always had wanted to direct a Bond film.
Oh, okay.
And so again, when you know this behind the scenes stuff, it even makes it more like, oh my God, how did that work?
Well, you could argue that Indiana Jones is a Bond. He's
dirtier and rougher.
Yeah,
but he's Bond.
Yeah, I like it. Good call. Hard to argue.
Yeah, it's very hard to argue with that. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a young Indiana Jones TV show, which was absolutely gobshite.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why they made it, but I know that like there was like 2-3 seasons because whoever George Lucas was with at the time, the studio leader of that was the leader who's now in charge of Disney, Bob Iger.
Yeah.
And he let George Lucas do like 2 more seasons after the first one. And that's like one of the main reasons why George trusted Bob with Star Wars. Fun fact for you all.
Yeah.
But anyways, number 6 for Chris is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Mm-hmm.
All right, to move on to our number 5 comic. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Gladiator, starring Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix. Russell Crowe is another one of my favorite actors. In this movie, he was totally badass. In this movie, Joaquin was a punk.
God, you almost forget Joaquin Phoenix was in that, man.
He pisses me off in this so bad because he was jealous of Russell Crowe, who should have been in the next Emperor or whatever title it was, because his dad knew he was a punk and wouldn't be able to rule the country right. But like a bitch ass, he killed him, suffocated him, and lied to a boy, tried to get him killed his family. And then, of course, Russell came back through the ranks of the gladiators, was able to make his way back to the main Coliseum, and pretty much told him that he's going to kill his ass. And he did kill him, but it's a shame he had to die in the end. But to me, that movie was awesome. I love the fight scenes.
So good.
I can't think his name on there, General something. but he was a badass, and I love that movie. That kind of stuff in that period of time. I love to see it if it's done well, and this was done well. Two very good actors played off each other very well, and came out in 2000. What was I doing in 2000? I think I still was in. I got out of service. I think I was in between becoming law enforcement. No, shit, I was already a cop. Damn, yeah, I was already a cop in 2000. So I was somewhere in. I've been a cop for about 5 years then. So
You finish your training and you're like, is there no one else?
yep. Is there no one else?
Are you not entertained?
Hey, bro, I'm telling you, man.
So
Fighting
good.
damn tigers and lions and shit.
My.
That take a
Oh, my.
special kind of man, buddy.
That was a good movie.
And Hans Zimmer, baby, coming in strong with the fucking score again.
wasn't
Love me
that
some Hans Zimmer.
Ridley Scott?
Actually, I think so.
Yeah.
Mm.
See, I'm a big fan of Ridley Scott, and the way he
Oh, he was
directs.
in there. Oh, you talking about directing? Okay.
Yeah, and the way he directs, he's matter of factly. If you won't do it his way, he'll find somebody else to do it, or he'll either find somebody else to do it, or he'll do it his own damn self. And he's said that, and he's quoted as doing that, and he'll say it in interviews too. He's like, I don't care. I want it a certain way. I'll get it that way, and that's how he is.
And and that works really well when you get things like Alien, and then it doesn't work so much when you get things like Prometheus.
Yeah, I understand. Prometheus, yeah. I didn't mind Prometheus, but it's definitely a pale comparison to.
I watched it one time. I couldn't tell you nothing about it.
It just visually looks good. It doesn't make sense.
It's poopy. It's all poop. Big old bag of poop. Anyway, I'm not here to poop on films. We're here to celebrate films. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's my number 5.
All right.
That's a
A
great.
very strong and very well loved number 5. So Bad, what is your number 5?
I want you to know I'm deliberately finding the ones that juxtapose Danny's, and it's a lot of fun to do this. My next one, no joke. I know people are going to think I'm memeing. I think Titanic.
Oh, no, you know what?
No.
I legitimately like Titanic.
No. I'll tell you what. I spent my date and me $200 for the second night premiere of that at the Chinese theater. When all the extras got to go, when it wasn't premiere night, but it was the next night after. And I went to go see it, and my main reason was I wanted to see
Kate Winslet's booby.
Well, that was a plus. But I wanted to see that ship sink, and I read so much about that they were building this whole set, and they built 3/4 of the boat, not just for the exterior, but they built everything
It's 90
exact
it's to
specs.
It's to 90% scale. And
Yes.
It's funny because and again, the reason why this movie gets on there, the love stories, whatever, it's a little corny. A lot of stuff doesn't really make sense. It's a little contrived. But let's be fair, the whole reason to have the love story is to push the narrative to a point where we get a disaster film. And I think that's the part that people forget is once we get the nude drawing scene, all the Frenchy lovey-dovey shit out of the way, the second half of that film is straight up disaster film. And it's one of the best put together things I've seen in a long time. And like I said, that's why Jurassic Park jumped in there for the first one, is because of the behind the scenes movie magic stuff I used to see on TV. And then Titanic was the next one because James Cameron, he's in the water with these people. He's doing stuff. They built a set that they can sink and resync and constantly. And there's a feat there that proves it's just don't bet against James Cameron. Just don't do it. Say what you will about Avatar or whatever, but this film really brought him back, because got to remember the only thing he'd done before that was Terminator or Terminator 2. And it's don't get me wrong, that one will be discussed at some point, but Titanic was this feat that I feel like a lot of people just kind of, turn their nose to, because it's it's a silly love story. Who cares? I'm yeah, but the technical feats that they do, like even just like some of the wide shots with the CGI of the ship, like I still buy it to this day. And it's really funny timing. I just during a trip to Florida, my girl and I were stuck in a hotel, and we turned on the TV, and there's a 20 years later retrospective of James Cameron going back and finding all of the ancestors who are living now of people he depicted in the film, and talked to them and talked about all the things he missed or didn't get right. Or
he's absolutely a freak about Titanic.
Oh, he's obsessed.
I think he's got the second most dives down to the deck, and he's gone down to
and his money
depth
and his money. He gave money to all these naval people who came in and showed him how to do things correctly, and he still supports them and has moved. Like he literally in this documentary, they have the boats, the lifeboats put up on the cranes like they had like the cinches where they had to like do the rotation and stuff, and they wanted to prove how long would it take to get that to actually deploy a lifeboat. And he did that, and he gets in the boat, and like there's a scene where a guy has to cut a big rope with a pocket knife to keep them from getting crushed, and they did that. They wanted to see how long it would take for a human with that pocket knife to cut through a rope that big. It was really cool. And again, this is one of those things where I get that like the story might be a little contrived and a little bit meh, but I'm superficial when it comes to this one, is that the idea of passionate, detail-oriented filmmaking is something that should be celebrated. And I think this film made me excited for the movie magic and the idea of like, you're bringing the best of the best people to come in and entertain people. Like your engineers and stuff aren't building bridges and houses for people to use and live in. They're doing it to entertain the masses for decades. And I think there's something special about that too. And I think sometimes we overlook it. And I think films like this should be put under the spotlight from time to time. So I love this film.
Yeah,
cool.
and
my heart will go on. Come on, Celine Dion.
The love story. Oh, yeah, there's a fun fact about that. The love story of Titanic is just a secondary thing to what's actually going on. The actual story is about the boat.
Exactly.
That is the story of the
fateful
movie.
trip.
Yes. Now, my heart will go on. First off, with a demo, only a demo.
Yes.
She sang it once, and she hated the song, and she never sang it again. The one you hear on the radio is that demo, still to this day. And she'll sing it live, but I think I've heard her say it's kind of grown on her, but she's still not that fond of the song.
When the song first came out, she said it was stupid and she hated it. And she's like, you get one take and that's it. And then ever since, she'll sing it all the time at her shows because it's the one to do. But
it's crazy because she did such a great job of that song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, I mean, so
first time I heard the song, other than in the film, I heard it on the radio and it woke me up from a dream.
I love the flute version of it too. Just the part that they play when they're doing the pass by shots and stuff. All of that is
good film. I just like the film. The acting's good. Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio. Come on, it's corny and it's corny and cheesy, but I like it.
They play it just right. I mean, they're pretty accurate for the most part on how they're acting. And
Billy Zane, come on, the Phantom.
Yeah, dude. The Phantom is an underrated movie.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I do own it and I have watched it multiple times.
Same here. It's guilty pleasure.
The awful MTV cartoon is much better. But yeah, there you go. Titanic, James Cameron. Don't bet against him.
Number 5, Titanic for bad. I'm not going to say anything else, so I'm just going to offend a lot of people. Saying that I don't like Titanic.
Oh, well, trust me, there are a lot of people that don't. Yeah. Length is the thing. Again, corny soap opera love story. It's like, okay.
They're still talking about building the second one.
Yeah. Shit.
So
yeah.
They started talking about the second one.
But I always say, just if you ever don't like it, seriously, go to the second half once the iceberg hits and watch it from there. Because I'm telling you, if you don't have all the stuff that takes you out of the film because you don't care, once the iceberg hits, It's fucking
Different
balls
movie.
to the wall, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
know.
awesome.
And go watch all the material about how they made that movie. It'll give you a respect for that movie. that
It's
you never-
totally
Yeah.
a nerd. It's a nerd movie. I,
It
I,
is.
I love that shit. I was obsessed with
I
Titanic for
I
years
do
afterwards.
respect what Titanic did for the time. I just don't think that's to my taste. Of
Oh,
what
yeah.
they enjoyed.
Absolutely. Well, I would make the argument it's the same thing for like Lord of the Rings. Most of the time when
Yeah.
people watch it, it's not like, oh no, it's poorly made or poorly written. They're like, I just don't like high
Yeah.
fantasy, or I just don't. That's not my cup of tea.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. All right. My number 5. I don't know if anyone else could have this on the list, but I've got Pulp Fiction.
Nice.
Be hard
Nice.
not to put a Tarantino film somewhere
you see,
in here.
I stayed away from a lot of that because I knew they would show up.
They're like the obvious ones, yeah.
So
Well,
and I'm not even saying obvious. I love Pulp
They're good.
Fiction. Pulp
They're just-
Fiction was
they're
amazing.
good. It's just Pulp Fiction suited the actors that were in it, Danny DeVito, Samuel Jackson, just to name a few. Like the dialogue as well was really funny, very out there for its time. And obviously it's Quentin Tarantino. It's like one of his early introductions into the film industry. I don't know if he made a lot of films before that.
No,
Yeah.
that was his
Really?
first film, and it was bold choices. It was originally supposed to be 3 different directors, 3 different things going on, and it got shelved. And eventually, Tarantino said, "Screw it, I want to do it." I think Richard Ramirez was supposed to do it with him, and so they went ahead and said,
Yeah.
screw it." Tarantino says, "I'm going to do it myself," but it still was a bold choice because you have multiple stories within one world that are all connected in a different way, and they're not all shot in sequence. They're shot in different times, and it was bold
Yeah.
how he did it, especially for his first film.
Well, you don't see, and at
Yeah.
the time, you didn't see a lot of non-linear stuff. What was I don't know which one came out first. The other one would be like what, Memento? Maybe would be the most famous non-linear film after that.
Possibly, I think actually now that I'm thinking about it, I think Reservoir Dogs might have been before Pulp Fiction, but still, it was his
Maybe,
first.
I'm not too sure.
Another funny thing is he'd written lots of films, but his first film he was ever paid for, the script that he was ever paid for, was Dusk Till Dawn. He made $1,000.
Oh,
for that.
okay.
So
Okay. Yeah, it's just Pulp Fiction is a very good film. I'll leave it at that. So that's my number 5. Chris, what's your number 5?
number 5, Goonies.
Okay.
I am a complete nerd for that movie. I've been to Astoria. I love it. I've walked those paths. There's something about it. It's a sense of adventure in everybody. And while it may not be the best overall story or something, again, if you know the behind the scenes stuff, it really speaks for it. When they come down the water slide at the end and they see that ship for the first time, Richard Donner kept the ship a secret. None of the kids had seen it until they came off of that slide. So the scene you see them react to it, that was their actual reaction to it.
Yeah.
He said, when you go down the slide, when you get down there, I want your reaction to that. This is the final scene. This is where you've been working to get to the whole time. And so everything you see right there is exactly how they reacted to it. But how many of us, when we were kids, with all our friends, wanted to go somewhere? We all walk around the woods and look for, there's a hole in the ground somewhere, and you climb in it to see how far it went. Or you found a cave in some hill somewhere, and you went into it to explore.
Yeah.
That's this movie.
Yep.
I think the majority of people in the world understand this movie at heart.
Yeah.
So the story is kind of a secondary thing. It's just this sense of adventure and how it makes me feel. I watch to this day, and I'm almost to the point where I want to go out and find something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Goonies also introduced us to one of the biggest grapes in the galaxy, Josh Brolin, who plays Thanos.
Yep.
But yeah, great number 5. I don't know. I feel like Goonies is a bit underrated. I don't think people give it the recognition that it deserves.
I mean, I know that a lot of my films are going to have Steven Spielberg associated with it.
Yeah,
but Spielberg just has a way of being a part of all these movies. I mean, think about it. Back to the
I think.
Good echo.
Can I say? I think Chris is echoing off of somebody right now.
I don't know.
It's like in a football stadium.
me.
Yeah, I think it's from Shadow, but that's fine.
No, I mean Goonies is good shit, man. I mean, look at the cast. It was like the cast before we knew, and you're talking like storytelling with kids. Like, man, even nowadays, there are very few child actors that we put their names on a list of like, this kid can do it. Like, when was the last time we had a Haley Joel Osment or Abigail Breslin was pretty good in Signs for the most part. I would say my new up and comers, Noah Jupe or something. He was he was the son in Ford versus Ferrari. He was in I think it's Honey Boy with Shia LaBeouf. I think he's the next big one. But
what was that, Shadow?
I just said okay.
No.
Yeah, Goonies is good stuff, man. It feels like something that you're just not going to get again. I mean, like, there's a lot of movies back in the day that have this weird fanatical way of presenting something that's in real world. It's so strange. National Lampoon's movies are like very like that, or Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like you're in a real world, but you have all this goofy stuff going on. Like, how often are you going to see like a sloth type character in a film that's trying to ground itself?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
See, one of my favorite scenes, or some of my favorite scenes, are when they're in the house at the beginning. Well, no, not just
the house.
Just the house. And the fun thing about that house is when the windows are up and it's kind of misting and raining like it does up there. It's just so real. I watch it and I remember it pulls me back to days like that in my own room with friends. I'm an only child, so I can't speak about having a brother, but I remember being in like my best friend's house up in his room. He had brothers, he had the weight bench and stuff. Just it grounds me because I remember windows being open and the smell of rain and just everything about the way they shoot that house is so real feeling, and it just pulls me into it.
Well, I was just thinking of like, you have these grandiose characters and you're putting kids in situations that like a lot of movies you don't see do it very often anymore. Like you have something like It comes out and you see what happens to the young kid at the beginning of the film. It's pretty brutal. But you have something in like a fun little comedy like this. These three weird like criminals shoving Chunk's hand into a fucking blender and about to like trying to essentially get information out of him, and it's it's really interesting to have them do that to a kid, and it's again it really speaks to how it really speaks to how good the casting was, and it was a film that I don't know, it was made at the right time.
And I don't want it to ever be remade. That's another one I don't ever want to see remade.
That or Gremlins, because they're gonna do Gremlins wrong.
I've heard they
will do it wrong.
They've either talked about
they're gonna do that wrong.
They've either talked about redoing Gremlins or doing a third. It'll just be cheap.
I could maybe give you Goonies, but man, because you know what the story would be. It'd just be like all the original guys and gals' kids. That's just pretty much what it would be.
You could do a sequel to it. Yeah, you could do that. I think a large majority of them would come back long enough to do it because them as adults, Josh Brolin, Sean Astin, all of them. What a day of shooting is all that take for the adult scenes.
Pretty much.
I mean, you could have Sean Astin play like what his dad is. He'd be in charge of the museum. Then Josh Brolin would be like a mechanic or something. I mean, you could do it. And if it was an original story, if it was an original story and a sequel, maybe. But I just have a bad feeling that they just politics would get played into it and a bunch of other crap that just doesn't need to be.
Now, at this point, COVID's the greatest thing that's ever happened to Hollywood.
Stop things and make people think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it'd make people who write scripts, it'd give them more time to perfect the script as well and not rush it.
That's what you think they'd be doing.
Yeah.
If they do it.
Yeah. All right. So you're number 5, Goonies. Okay. Moving on to number 4, Comic. What do you have?
My number 4 is the 300. Starring Gerard Butler.
I kind of wondered if you'd go that route.
This is Sparta. I love that movie. Who would not love to see doggone kick-ass Spartans just totally wrecking somebody, joking at it nonchalantly as they stacking bodies up, and the God King think that he's the stuff, and a few more centimeters to the left, and I think Leonidas would have got him right in his throat.
Little Xerxes thinking he's so cool.
But that movie was one of my favorite. The woman in there, I can't think of her name, but she starred in Dread.
Lena Headey. It's Queen Cersei from Game of Thrones.
Excuse me, she was hot in there.
Total babe. Yeah.
So that movie, the second one to me was just as good. Slightly under the first one, but both of them are definitely a 1-2 punch. But 300 is definitely one of my all-time favorite movies. Now ranked at number 4.
I mean, I gotta agree. This is one of those films where I would make the argument, because we've talked about like a Michael Bay or somebody like that, where they end up creating this played out style that you're like, oh, okay, it takes 5 minutes and I know it's their film, if that makes sense. 300 was kind of one of the things that put Zack Snyder on the map. You know, he did Dawn of the Dead, I believe, before 300, or was it after? I can't remember.
I think it was before.
But you know, and there's not a lot of the Snyder-esque slow-mo and all the craziness in that, but you see 300 and it's this hyper stylized, super blue screen, just like over the top fantasy thing with some some fun, cheesy action dialogue. It kind of felt like an old 80s film with like this weird, like, you know, like a commander, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, Conan the Barbarian, but with this weird new hyper technology polish on it. And it was a lot of fun to watch. It was really neat. And then you find out, like, you know, the choreography,
very historically inaccurate.
Extremely inaccurate. But, you know, it's like the idea. They took the idea of the 300 Spartans and then made this big grandiose adventure around it, which, let's be fair, you know, at that point, we're just watching, we might as well just be watching Greek mythology at that point. And I just think it was one of those things that had a good soundtrack. The casting's pretty solid. And it's innovative and it was different for the time. So not only does it get the, wow, this is like you created a genre, or you did something extremely visually iconic. You did something that just, you know, it was structured within itself. It worked fine. And then you get something like a Sucker Punch or something like that. And you're kind of like, oh man, we're like all over the place. We don't know what we're doing. But 300, I have to agree. Like, Danny, this is a great call. Cause I think, say what you will about Zack Snyder, say what you will about the film, it definitely changed the game when it came to visuals and storytelling and
not to mention, man, a lot of my buddies, that 300 workout, that's all you see on YouTube, man. People,
that's like the day that Terrence was born and had to go to the gym, right?
Yeah. Also the filters he uses. There's a lot of the way he filters that movie. The filters he uses are really beautiful.
It's just action corny. It feels like I said, it's hard to argue that it feels like an old Arnold Schwarzenegger film or something like that. Just instead of all these practical effects, you're just on a big blue screen with pretty visuals.
It was a better version of Conan.
I'd probably give you that. Yeah, maybe. Like, wait, the Arnold one or the Arnold Jason Momoa one? How dare you?
Both of them. I mean, I'm a big time Arnold fan. I love both of the Conans. But, I mean, 300 was a better movie to me.
You talking about the newer Conan?
No.
Okay.
I'm saying
No, he's talking about Arnold.
I'm a lover of the first two, of
All right.
Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Conqueror. I love
Yeah.
both of the movies.
Let's be
I
fair, the
think-
acting's like way
I
better than
think 300 is a better movie.
Yeah, I probably have to agree. As much as the Conan,
Not-
the old
not
Conan's
Red
a little
Sonja,
corny.
Not Red Sonja, but Conan. Red Sonja totally sucked.
No, I think it's I have to completely back you. I think that's a good choice.
Yep. Brilliant choice for number 4 there, comic. 300. Bud, what do you have to compete with that?
Since I was talking about 80s stuff, I figure this would be a fun one. Predator 1. The very first Predator.
Ooh.
Yes.
I have to thank Critical Drinker and Mahler on Twitter for really reminding me how much I like this film. Because it took the Shane Black Predator that just came out to remind me how much I love the first movie. I'm like echoing in my own head. Predator did something that a lot of these old action movies can't seem to get right. Make their characters not these stupid archetypes that don't contribute anything except being the archetype. In this film, you have a bit, and I remember watching it just a month or so ago with my girlfriend. There's not a line of dialogue in this film for like almost 10 minutes. It's crazy. And we go from this hyper action, blow them up, shooting rockets and explosions and people being blown up and crazy visceral gore and action to now here's this weird methodical monster slasher film.
Not just that, it's different from like your typical alien film. It's an alien.
Yes.
But he comes here and it's sport. And he doesn't want to use his weapons.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
Right.
So again, the reason why I really like this is a lot of people look at it as an action oriented sci-fi film. And I go, I think that discredits the film. Mahler brought it up and he described it as a slasher film where all the victims are actually smart and making the best decisions that they can given the information that they have. And as the film progresses, Dutch, played by Arnold, is figuring out little nuances about what's happening around him to eventually put the pieces together to hopefully survive an inevitable encounter. But then on top of that, you have like Carl Weathers, you have Jesse the Body Ventura in here, and they all have like little infighting and characteristics that are not only slowly either separating them or maybe like they're having little arcs within their own group while this bigger story is being told. And, again, in a day and age where people act like there's no diversity in films, it's like you have it in this action film randomly. And there's practical effects, there's good music, there's a lot of building of tension, and it's so simple. Once you find out the alien's motivation, it's here for sport. How different is that for a lot of sci-fi films? Usually it's just this monster thing that either just infects people. It's an infection essentially, or a parasite, or it wants to take over the planet. This thing is literally here just to go, I'm going to find the best of the best and I'm going to rip them apart and take them home as trophies. And I just think it's such a simple story that sometimes people think because it's sci-fi, it's like this big silly thing that makes no sense. I'm like, it'd be no different if some weird assassin guy was hunting them at night. It just, the assassin Badman is an alien. And I just think the whole buildup's really good. It's another one of those films where I go, I think people really discredit Arnold Schwarzenegger for being a good actor. I think he does a lot of really good nuanced stuff in his acting in this film, and he deserves a little more credit. Man, I just love this film. And then once you go back and start watching the sequels afterwards, like I really like Predator 2, but it kind of feels like it just kind of rings the same bell.
We know why the hell you liked Predator 1 better.
Well, duh, because I'm racist.
No, you see, the thing is that's the cool thing about.
Well, I didn't like LA. I didn't like the LA setting, and then there were a couple of things where I felt like the city was so big that him hunting specific people, or it didn't feel like he had such a focused. The Predator in this one had a focused ideal. When they were stuck,
he had the Jamaicans who he took out first. Then he had Danny Glover's team.
Well, I feel like it was just because he was kind of like running around and finding these people, and I liked the story being a little more. Maybe it's just because I'm dumb and don't want to think too much or something, but I liked the idea of these guys stuck in this space because they don't have cars and stuff. They're stuck here, like they can't. Yeah. They're not going anywhere.
Get to the chopper.
And they don't have.
But man, you got Gary Busey, you got doggone.
Oh no! I'm
Bill
saying
Patton.
2 is fine. I don't have a problem with it. I just think 1 is just it's really focused. Again, it's a group of guys that we all know a lot of characteristics about, and they're getting picked off. Versus,
well, of course, I don't mean to cut you off, but of course, everybody gonna think the first one's better because that's the first time we ever saw that.
Sure,
it kind of loses a little bit of its magic and charm because we know what the Predator is now. But for the first hour and change, we didn't know what the hell that thing was. It was just some kind of blur, or especially the part where we actually saw when he took off his faceplate. It was like, oh shit.
Well, and like I said, with 2, it's just a little different because the setting's different. There's like cars, and you can go reset and do some stuff and like get away a little bit quicker. Like I said, in the jungle, it feels everybody's out of their element. Not only is the alien on a different planet, but all the people in the jungle, they don't fucking live in the jungle.
I like the premise of the third one better. It just wasn't done as good.
The third one was the hunting ground planet, right? With Adrian.
Yeah, when they take them to their planet, I thought that was really cool. Because how cool would it be, man? Well, it would be cool, but I mean, you fight, the next thing you know, you like transported, and you on some other damn planet.
I agree. I think the premise was a good idea. I think they botched it completely. Because I was like under the idea. Could you imagine? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Enemy Mine. It was an old like.
Dennis with Dennis Quaid and Lou Gossett Jr.
I think they should have done. They should have done something like that, where there were some aliens and humans and
work together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. If you were going for the best of the best of the best, it would have been very interesting. But I don't know how you could have done a narrative like that where they would have worked together quickly. It would have been really hard, but you could have probably done it. I just think, and I don't buy Adrian Brody as a fucking badass.
Well, they kind. I thought he pulled it off. Right. They kind of did it in Alien versus Predator though, because the black lady, Sanaa Lathan, and the Predator, they worked together.
We just that also took a lot of stuff, and like they were all gone. Like they slowly had to like delve into that versus like imagine they all came out of the boxes together at the same time. It'd be hard not to just immediately start shooting each other. Because they don't forget they got dropped with their weapon.
You mentioned, everybody's gonna like.
I did
Predator
like
one
for the most part, even though it's fucking corny and it should have been rated R and more gory.
Yeah, true. I think when you mention Predator, you're always gonna have people who like 1 over 2 or 2 over 1, but they're both good movies.
Yeah, they're fine.
Then you mentioned
and the Arnold, like it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm sorry, I'm like I like him.
But you mentioned Arnold Schwarzenegger. So when he first did Conan, which was his first true feature film, he'd done Hercules in New York, but when he did Conan, he started right away asking great actors like James Earl Jones and others, what am I doing wrong, or how can I make this better? So he's always been really big about his craft. And I know he may not seem like the best actor, but he knows his faults and he tries to work past them. And if you watch his work, you can always see him getting better.
This sounds really stupid, but if you ever want proof that he is very self-aware and he is actually a good actor, go watch Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
Go watch that film.
I love that
100%.
film.
It's essentially a parody.
Mhm.
It's a satire, but it's a really well done one. And Charles Dance is the villain. Arnold's this hero that gets pulled out of the actual movies into the real world and doesn't understand how tropes. It's such a great fucking film, and it really shows that Arnold is not just this gimmick. He actually does know what he's doing, and it's awesome. It's really awesome.
Alright, a good number 4 from Brad. I forgot what it was. Oh, you know what? I forgot it. I'll move on. My number 4. It's very out there, but I'm gonna say Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I enjoy the film because it's not just the traditional superhero film where you go and you're there to expect action. There's emotion with the Winter Soldier being revealed to be Steve Rogers' old friend, who's Bucky Barnes, and then you go through that, the emotions there. You go through the fact that Steve does not want to kill him, and also you have the rise and fall of Hydra, and also the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. Then you also have the fake death of Nick Fury, because you know he's a total badass. Why would he die? You also have the end battle, which is probably one of the better battles. You get to see Falcon in this film as well, finally in action. And yeah, I just feel like it's a very good film. The cinematography is one of the better. It's probably one of the better Marvel films cinematography wise. And also it's just very different from traditional superhero films, which I like. So I've got that at my number 4.
I think that's a good one. When it comes to the MCU, Winter Soldier tends to come into the conversation pretty quickly. And you know, it's another one of those moments where I still maintain a little bit of the writing hits, and kind of the idea of the formula comes out a lot, which I don't think is as true as people let on. I think it's just kind of a regurgitated talking point for people who maybe don't find these films to be actually like deep or anything like that. Because you can't tell me that Thor 1 and Thor Ragnarok is the same as Winter Soldier and Civil War. You know, you can't tell me that Endgame is the same as Iron Man 3. You can't tell me that fucking Ant-Man's the same as Iron Man 1. But you know what I mean? It's these moments where you looked at Winter Soldier and you're like, oh, this is a espionage film with the comic book dressing on it. Kind of like the idea, like when we talked about Joker, it's this character study that just has a couple of names and some iconic stuff for the sake of telling this new story. And Winter Soldier is really good. I like it. The only hit I would probably give it is it's a little long, but I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. That's more of a subjective thing for me. But man, they put a lot of plot points in there too, and some of it still has some of that choppy Marvel fight scene editing that I wish they'd kind of slow down a little bit and maybe give us a little bit more in the fights.
Yeah.
But it's good stuff. It's like that knife fight on the street with Cap and Winter is like, it's so good. It's good shit.
Right, my number 4, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Chris, what do you have?
Number 4. Oh, what? Hold on.
I can see it on my phone, but I can't see it on here. On my
I don't know
computer.
why. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, then there's
Yeah,
the
okay, yeah.
port. I'm gonna go grab myself a drink.
Oh, all right.
I can see the chat on the phone, but I can't see it on my desktop.
Yeah, just pull it out. You can pull it out of his YouTube channel and put it over to the side. That's what I do. Okay, so my number 4 is Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
What was that? What'd you say, Shadow?
I said okay in a very slow way.
It's sorry. I mean, I think it was so amazing. So the best thing they did with the first 2 movies is they took the world of Star Trek for the nerds who knew Star Trek. And they made it just interesting enough for those people, but they still rehashed everything as if it was brand new for anybody who hadn't been a part of it. And the same thing with the second one. They take a plot line and a plot point from the series and they interject it right into this movie. And yet, for people who watched it, you kind of get there's a history, but you can watch it because it's the battle all over again between the two of them. And yet, if you'd seen the series, you are enjoying this because now it's like this epic showdown to see the end of it. And
I like what Spock said on the series. Like, just be interested to see what they planted there and see how it was being 75 years. And
they took that directly to that movie. And when you go back and watch the series and that episode, or I think it's 2 episodes. I think it was a 2-part.
One.
Was it one? Okay. When you hear him say that, like you said, it'd be interesting to see what it's like. And I think it is 75 years. What's funny is that when you go back and watch that, now it's an ominous statement. It's like, now you know what happened. And again,
Kirk kind of dropped the ball because he didn't leave no kind of beacon. Nobody checked on him, and
no
the atmosphere kind of went.
Well, they had the beacon. That's how they got found. Was they had a beacon there?
I thought they made it because it became so inhabitable that, and Khan is superior intellect that he built some shit.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Are you guys talking Star Trek? You fucking nerds.
Yeah,
Star Trek Wrath of Khan is my number 4.
They thought it was something else, and then Chekhov realized it was the Botany Bay, was the name of Khan's ship.
Yeah, well, but they
told that
didn't.
guy, we got to get the hell up out of here because he knew what it was.
Oh yeah, no, but that's the thing. He saw the belt buckle, Botany Bay.
I'm gonna tell you right now, that earworm stuff that jacked me up as a kid,
dude. That is
like
so crazy how they did that too. Again,
cool.
Behind the scenes stuff. That was crazy, and
Not
that was just like, oh man, oh yeah. Still to this day, I'm like,
that was creepy.
Yeah, but no, dude, that is like still to this day, I think one of the best Star Wars films ever is Wrath of Khan. And
excuse me,
Star Wars.
Star Trek. Sorry,
fucking turn in your card. Internet, eat them. Internet, eat them now.
Clip
Do
it
now.
Clip it. No,
Get them.
I sorry, I'm just on that too.
I know. It's fine, dude. I remember the Captain Kirk Strikes Back. I love that. And Return of the Starfleet. What a great film. Starfleet. What a great film.
But still, and then the travesty of making the Into Darkness. Was that the second?
I don't know. That sounds really racist.
No, what, the next one?
No, the one that
Benedict
JJ
Cumberbatch.
did.
Cumberbatch.
The way that the one that JJ did.
Crazy how they flipped it. That Kirk.
I saw that so far in advance. I was like, no, they're not. And then they do it. And I was like, oh,
yeah, when he knocked out McCoy, I was like, I'm not McCoy, but Scotty. I was like, okay, they about to do the old switcheroo.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, I hated that.
Well, JJ, it's the same but different.
Yeah. Oh, I changed. It's completely different because it's not Spock this time. It's Kirk. Yeah. So, I gotta go make some dinner, but I'm gonna let you guys talk about your next ones, and I'll be down by the time it's my time again.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow.
No, it won't be like that. I gotta go pick some stuff up.
Right.
All right.
Well, your number 4 is Star Trek.
Wrath of Khan. Come on.
Dude.
Anyways, what's your number 3 comic?
Number 3. Came out in 2012.
Shadow, do you have headphones by chance?
I've got them on right now.
How are you getting feedback?
I don't know. Help me.
Do you have a on board?
A soundboard? No, I don't.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I'm not a computer geek.
So wait, so you got
It's a very bad mic.
So you got headphones. Wait, so you got headphones on.
Yes.
Got headphones on.
Yes.
And you have a microphone in front of you.
No, the headphone has a microphone. Ta-da, it's my face.
Oh. You're getting fucking playback.
Yeah, what I get. I don't use I don't use this one. I use the other one.
Ah, well,
Yeah, maybe
it's 'cause
turn the
it's
mic.
my
Maybe
shit.
turn the mic up. Turn the mic off on your headset, and use the computer.
All right.
We'll try that. Because I have a Yeti mic, and it actually can play the audio through this if I wanted to,
Yeah.
and that'd be weird.
Right. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds better.
Let me talk. Oh nope, you can still hear me. Boo.
Yeah.
Poopy. All right, nope, you're screwed. You're gonna have to push to talk.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna sound like you're in a tin can. Sorry. Isn't the internet great? Man, you can whistle your ass off, sir.
I was gonna say listen, that whistler.
I love the whistle, man. I couldn't whistle when I was a little boy. When I finally learned how to do it, I can whistle anything I hear.
That's amazing. Can you do the I had sorry, small tangent. This will buy Chris a little bit of time. Yes, sorry, world. I'm a film school fucking reject. I made a short film that this guy wrote because it was one I had to direct for a class. It was called Dreamer. It was a fake like Disney Walt Disney short film. And at the end, my guy had to whistle the Steamboat Willie scene. That one.
I saw it on the bike.
I'm at something.
And man, that's hard to do. And the actor I had just happened to be able to do it. I've never felt so lucky in my entire life.
Like the Andy Griffith theme.
Well, it's kind of like that. If you kind of like that, yeah. You can do it. You can totally do it. That's awesome. Because you remember Steamboat Willie, right? It's
sorta.
Mickey Mouse. He's on the steamboat and he's like doing the thing.
I have to hear it in order to. Before I hear it,
Oh, I know what you mean.
Do 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 do.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It was just whistling is hard.
I love it.
It's so cool that you can do that. I'm sorry. I know it's such a mundane like thing that like a bunch of people can do, but not people can do it that well.
I love whistling King of the Road.
I'm not gonna lie.
You can definitely tell he's had a lot of lonely walks back to his house.
Dude, I like he makes me want to skip all the way home. No joke, Danny. I don't know why, but I have a much higher respect for you now.
Pretty good.
It's awesome. Thank you. Internet, thank you. Like fucking round of applause to Danny. Subscribe to him.
I know the whistle well, but not to that extent.
That was great. Thank you, Danny. Sorry to tangent you so hard, but
No problem. Number 3, 2012.
Oh, I remember that film.
One of my favorite actors, Jamie Foxx.
2012, A Space Odyssey sequel.
That would be no. That's the year it came out.
I know I'm making a joke.
The movie is Django Unchained.
Oh,
Love that movie.
Oh, with Leonardo DiCaprio and all that.
Quentin Tarantino, of course. It's another western. I love westerns. Django is basically a slave, and this dentist who was also a hitman or a bounty hunter was able to free him because he knew the location of somebody, two or three brothers he wanted to kill and get the bounty for. And of course, he taught the Django the rules of the West and of the gun. We kind of find out Django was a better killer than he was. And of course, Django wanted to get his wife back who was at one of the local slave
Plantations.
plantations. That was Leonardo DiCaprio, and he was able to get him back. And of course, Samuel Jackson played the biggest, I don't know, Uncle Tom I ever seen.
I know. Right?
Boy, I hated him, boy, for about a year. What
Damn.
the fuck you took this damn role for?
Especially
Anyway.
after Black Snake Moan.
But
Like,
that shit was good, man. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. If I ever see it on TV, I'm stuck there for however long it's playing.
God, how could you ever watch Django Unchained on TV though?
Hey, I watched
That has to be edited to all hell. like,
it. You
how
watch, they'll,
could
play it on, they'll play it on TNT late at night.
Dang.
What movie?
Django Unchained.
Yep.
What's
Does
one?
it get away with the N-word and stuff?
Django
That
Unchained.
gets thrown around a
They'll
lot.
say something like you nut or something. You can
That's a good movie, though.
that's what they do it.
Yep.
Oh man, it's really
My
good.
favorite, my favorite part, man, he's like, "Hey, y'all know Miss Sally? Yes. Well, say goodbye to Miss Sally." He pew, shoots her. Like the bullets, once he got more force than any other bullets on the planet. Cause man, it like knocks them through walls and knock them out of rooms and shit. I ain't never seen nothing like it.
That shootout in the house at the end is fucking awesome.
Yep.
It's just like I haven't watched it a ton. I think I've only seen it like twice. I'm not. Oh, no, hot take. I like Quentin Tarantino, but I don't watch a ton of his stuff. I'll watch everything once, but I'm usually not a super fan. Like Inglourious Bastards, I enjoyed it, but it was a little slow.
Did he do the Hateful Eight? I didn't like that. I thought that.
Hateful Eight was a little out there. I was just kind of like, man, it felt a little pretentious. But Django felt good. I like Jamie Foxx. I think he's like one of the best actors of our time. Like
Triple
he's
threat,
so
bro.
good.
Over time, he's gotten better and better, and he's
so
just
good.
got a way of doing things.
Dude, I've liked him
Yeah.
since his own TV show, the Jamie Foxx show. Like I don't give a
Yeah.
shit. I've always liked him.
That kid is a comedian. He's an actor, and he can sing.
Oh
Yep.
my god.
Yeah.
And he's a game show host.
The fucking hell, dude. Like he was fucking Ray Charles. Dude,
Leave some of the talent to us.
Hey,
he's
you wait.
singing Ray Charles song.
Wait, man, he is going to be in the new Mike Tyson movie, so I can't wait to see that.
Shut the hell
Yeah.
up. Really?
Yes, he's going to play Mike Tyson,
Yep.
Okay.
which is funny because he's parodied Mike Tyson lots of times.
No bullshit. After that, can we have a parody where Will Smith gets back in shape for Ali and
Ali?
we have them both
Oh.
fight each other in like a 5-minute parody?
Dude, that
That
would
would
be
be amazing.
that would be funny, and I bet you both of them would be game for it because they're both kind of comedic
Yeah.
people. And
Well, and Will Smith has a lot of time right now because he doesn't have to talk to his wife.
no, they're back together.
Yeah.
That too soon? I felt too soon.
No, they're back together. You know that,
I
right?
think they got
Yeah,
that
about
kind of
to.
open, close, halfway
It-
open marriage. I mean, that's
It
crazy.
works for them. Whatever it is, it works for them, and that's in. And anybody who's been
Look,
in,
Look,
yeah,
I appreciate that I can use Will Smith crying memes over Michael Jordan ones from now on. So I'm glad
There
that
you
that got updated.
Fair enough.
nice.
Too soon. Again, too soon. I'll take the crickets.
Okay,
That'll be
Well-
funny in 10 years.
Yep. Well, comics number 4, Django Unchanged. Bud, what's yours?
Oh, oh no. Here we
Right,
go.
sorry, number 3. Number 3, sorry.
Here we go. Here we go.
I'm scared. to see
Armageddon.
what?
it. Hey,
Michael
man.
Bay.
No way.
Armageddon.
You are.
Love- Love this film. I will 100% back, and I will stand this until my dying day.
That's your
It
number
is-
3.
Yeet. Bear with me. And
Oh,
again,
damn.
and again, and again, and again, and again.
Oh damn!
The
You
only-
did that, didn't you?
My list. And I said this at the beginning of the cast. I want to have reiterated this part. My number 1 is my number 1. But all the other ones, they're not in a particular order.
I am
even
so
said
scared.
they're
I am really scared to see what your number 1 movie of all time is.
my list is just it's a subjective
Yeah,
list
that's-
of things that I like. And I've
yeah.
even said that I'm picking them off the list arbitrarily to just be funny to what
Yeah.
Danny.
I can't do top 10s because it changes all the damn
it
time.
depends on how
Yeah.
I wake up.
I
But
know. I know what John number 1 is. I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, Grinch Before Christmas, probably some shit.
how
like
dare
that.
you? No, I already got my Christmas film out of the way.
Which was
Muppet Christmas Carol.
okay, cool.
But no, I am not memeing. Again, I am not memeing. I feel Armageddon was the film that Michael Bay's style lent itself to the story being told, and somebody wrangled him in. You have, I have no problem saying this is one of the greatest disaster, like end of the world films ever made. I have no problem saying it, and I will fucking stand this shit because aside from the fact we get some good music, you have an amazing cast. Michael Clark, Owen Wilson, Bruce Willis, and Ben Affleck work off each other amazingly. Liv Tyler kills it. Billy Bob Thornton is amazing.
Oh wow.
We have wow. Leon, or not Leon, Jean Reno's in it. As the Russian cosmonaut. You have all these action sequences that are just breathtaking and tense filled. And not only like it balances everything that the space all the astronauts are dealing with, you're getting juxtaposition with what's going on Earth. While another country gets bombarded by another meteor, they're still stuck up in the International Space Station dealing with a problem there. They're trying to do something that's never been done. The idea of these random ass drillers trying to do something extraordinary. I'm like, this is perfect basis for silly action hero fight stuff.
But,
like,
but you know what always pisses me off about those kind of movies? They have the plan. The plan is a little wild, but in theory, it's kind of sound. It'll work. And when they set the detonators, something always happen that they can't. The remote won't work.
Yeah, it's total bullshit movie trope.
I'm like, really?
And again, like I'll always say, this was back in the 90s before this got troped constantly.
But what I'm saying is, I'm gonna have 2 or 3 remotes. I ain't gonna be stuck.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's even a line in the thing. It's like Bruce Willis is like, "You don't have a plan. You don't got a contingency plan. You're NASA. You're supposed to be thinking shit up. You got a guy over here. He's supposed to be backing him up." And
the best thing I think of that is when they come in and they have all that equipment ready and they start tearing it apart and saying, "This ain't gonna work."
Classic ice cream scoop. What is it? Probably cost $2 million. Like I just like the idea of these ragtag
and Buscemi's in it.
Nobodies, and they're coming in, and and they all have to work together. They all hate each other, but then they all figure out that they need each other.
Yeah, they give them all that damn money and no income taxes for the rest of their life.
Yeah, no taxes. I love that thing because in every single scene you have these characters on, they don't waste time. There's character building in every single scene. Like the guy who's the gambler. He goes and gives the spaceship to his kid, and he's like, the salesman's on TV. I'm like, there are so many good payoffs character-wise in this film. It's insane. The music's really good, and one of the things I really, really enjoyed is they gave the asteroid a character. It was the weirdest thing. They gave it this sound that you only heard when it was on screen. They gave it a theme. It had its own musical theme anytime they were on it, or like they cut to that scene. It was only that, and it was like this daunting thing. It was so well built with an ensemble cast that had everything you could want when it came to action and stuff. And because it's a glossy space film, Michael Bay's goofy red, blue, over stylistic lighting really, really added to like just the sheen of NASA equipment and like the unpolluted space. You're not going to have smog and shit in space because it's a vacuum, and it's just, oh man, I really, really like it. I think, and the acting is fucking phenomenal. And I know it's kind of corny, but again, I would ask you to think of all the disaster films, high budget disaster films you've ever seen, and tell me that this is not only the most entertaining, but it's just really well made. I absolutely like this film, like a ton. I'm a
Okay.
huge- yeah, I'm a. Can you tell? I love it.
Right. Like you are a true giddy now, boy. I can't believe it.
It's so good. It's so random. It's such a random film.
Yeah. It is a very good film, I would
I
say.
hope anybody who listens to this cast. I love the fact that like none of us are even repeating titles at this point. Man, whoever's listening to this, you have the greatest like 30, 40 movie list right now. Go out and fucking watch it. Everything you guys are saying, I love right
I
now.
don't know about all that Muppet stuff, but other stuff I can concur with you.
The Christmas Carol, just save it for Christmas.
Mm.
Save it for Christmas. You'll be fine.
All right. Number 3 from Bud is Armageddon. My number 3, bit controversial.
Here we go.
I've gone with Star Wars Episode 3: Revenge of the Sith.
Well,
No controversial.
You love yourself some Star Wars, bro.
Dude, I like Revenge
Yeah, I
of the
do.
Sith. Revenge of the Sith is a strong finish to that prequel. And it, in my opinion, that thing got better. The prequels got better and better with each one. And I know a lot of people aren't big fans of Attack
Yeah.
of the Clones. I liked Attack of the
I love
Clones.
the prequel.
Same.
But it was kind of hard to fuck up that because you know he's going to turn to Darth Vader. So it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to mess that up.
Oh, you could have screwed it
Oh,
up.
you could have.
You-
They got real close.
You
Yeah.
could have screwed
They
it
made
up.
Anakin a whiny bitch. It's kind
Yeah.
of.
I like Anakin. At the end,
Yeah.
all that, but the end was
Well,
kind of
then
poor
again-
acting.
In Revenge of the Sith,
Liar.
well, yeah, that's kind of a yeah. But after that, and
But
he
the-
goes and after that fight, he
The
turns
fight scene makes up for any poor acting. That
Yeah.
lightsaber fight between him and Obi-Wan.
I thought it went on so long. I'm still the guy. Like
the thing is,
I always feel like that fight and the Darth Maul fight get pulled up, and I'm on the Darth Maul side of everything.
The one thing
Yeah.
I don't like about the Darth Maul fight, they keep flipping from doing this right here. I want to see the whole thing straight through. I don't want all that flipping in and he do a move and he stopping
That's
and then
classic.
Oh.
That is
I hate
classic Lucas. That's why he shot
Yeah.
it very much like he did the Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight.
Yeah.
He wanted to show you action and what was going on somewhere else. Action. This is
Yeah.
he's showing two stories simultaneously, and by switching back and forth.
yeah, but he didn't do that with
Yeah.
the Dooku Yoda fight though.
No, but he kind of walked away from that
They
after.
should have done that at the Dooku.
yeah.
Yoda. I didn't have to watch Yoda flipping around like an asshat. But yeah,
Yeah.
no,
I thought it was on point because no one had ever seen Yoda do anything like that.
That's what I
Yeah.
said.
And when that sucker flipped that and pulled up that lightsaber, I said, "Oh shit! What the hell? What the
Yeah.
hell his slow ass gonna do?" But shit.
given
30
Shadow,
seconds into- I'm sorry.
have-
Go ahead, Shadow.
I have a feeling Shadow can really tell us some good stuff about Revenge of the Sith here.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
very curious.
Right. So we have a story of how Darth Vader comes from being this loyal Jedi who goes by the Jedi Code, does everything the way of the Jedi, to slowly picking things out of the Jedi and just saying "fuck you," and just turning it into what we know as one of the most iconic movie villains of all time, Darth Vader.
I don't know. I think it's somewhat like that.
Yeah, do you really think he turns to just like? Because I mean, you got to remember.
I don't
Every-
think he turns fully bad.
No, but
Well, because when you say like he says "fuck the Jedi Order," I don't think he actually ever does that. And I mean,
I does.
I think the film
Does
No,
Well,
with like some of the
okay.
stuff that.
think he did, but like I mean, think about when he executed.
Yeah.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but well,
He was remorseful about it.
no.
Wait,
I,
When he executed,
I
Yeah.
can't hear you.
So-
Keep fading out.
when Anakin executes Dooku, he's extremely remorseful immediately.
Yeah, I know that. Like, what I'm trying to say is, Anakin is a bit like Qui-Gon. He doesn't follow everything the Jedi does. He doesn't do it by the way of the Jedi. He does it how the Force tells him to sometimes.
yeah, but
That seems unfair because
I disagree.
Qui-Gon's older and he's making these choices consciously.
Yeah.
yeah,
Anakin's doing it because he's pissed off all the time. Especially
he
Yeah,
doesn't
yes.
like being told no.
well,
Yeah,
when
he
people
doesn't.
grant him the rank of master, he gets pissed off.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
Anakin found out about when Anakin decided to go ahead and switch to the dark side, he
Yeah.
has zero problems killing those younglings at the
No, I don't.
temple.
It's
Yeah.
not even. I think the thing about that movie, the best thing about it, and this is maybe just my opinion of it, is that I don't think he so much switches as much as he's just been beaten down, and here he realizes
Yeah.
this person he was confident was actually a Darth Lord the whole time, and
Yeah.
he just everything about it at that moment he falls on his knees and he's like, I'll do whatever, just save her.
Yeah.
And it's not so much switching as much as it's just I have no other option now. I don't know, because
Yeah.
everything's so screwed
I
up.
mean-
He's still a kid inside, and he can't
Yeah.
figure it all out. And so his switching isn't so much switching as much as it's
Yeah.
just, I guess this is the only thing I can do.
Right.
No.
They skipped all of the development we needed.
Yeah.
Anakin,
They made him
Anakin,
from a kid to like he's 18 in the
Mhm.
second film. We
Yeah.
missed all of the stuff to get us to this point.
Yeah.
I get that
Yeah.
because it doesn't even seem like him and it's like him and Padme's relationship, which everybody says is the core thing that turned him. I go,
Yeah.
it got
That's the
set back on,
catalyst.
it was put back on reset for Attack of the Clones. We never saw
Yeah.
it. And I
Anakin is bipolar because
yes, absolutely. It's
he-
what
yeah.
what they wanted Kylo Ren to be.
he's bipolar because okay, please do everything. I just save her. Okay, the minute
After
that
he murdered Windu.
the minute she goes against him, he damn chokes her. He damn on force chokes her.
Now pregnant.
You're
Yeah,
my
but
enemy.
the reason he force chokes Padme is because she thinks she betrayed him by bringing Obi-Wan. Because
But
he didn't know that
Obi-Wan-
Obi-Wan was shit.
Obi-Wan hides out. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I said.
I still think it's the best of the prequel.
Yeah,
I love the fights.
definitely.
I love the dark tone. I mean,
Yeah.
like John says, he has no problems killing those kids, and I think that's when he stops being the.
Yeah.
It's like that's when he stops being the whiny little bitch.
I just
Yeah.
don't.
And then
I like the idea of Darth Vader being a guy who's just cool, just murdering kids mercilessly. I just
Yeah.
don't.
That was
I
a
like
tough
him.
call.
They
I
didn't
like.
show, they didn't show that.
Oh,
But I bet
get
you
it.
would have been something crazy.
They're
Right.
going back. The only reason why I would ever give Phantom Menace a pass is because, again, we're going to go back to the cliffhanger thing. It's like they haven't. The only thing they ruined in the first one was the Force with midichlorians. That
Yeah.
Yeah, they give it a scientific meaning.
I don't
They
even
shouldn't
care
have
about
done
that. They killed Darth Maul off too fast.
that made me sad.
Yeah.
I
Right,
would have.
so-
I would have rather taken Grievous out and had Maul and Dooku be.
I
Like,
would have
yeah.
rather
Wait,
seen
wait.
Maul fight Vader. That would have been cool for the.
That would have been.
oh, dude,
Oh.
because they always talk about the rule of two. That would have been dope as fuck.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, hold on.
Damn, you just. I have never
But
heard
Darth-
anybody
but Darth-
have that fucking take before.
But the problem is Darth, not Darth, but oh god, the guy Count Dooku. Count Dooku's the second in the second movie. They fixed that problem.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Yeah.
how they should have fixed the ruler too is let Vader face off against Maul.
That would have been the best way, and I would have loved to see that too. But it wouldn't have happened after they killed him.
Yeah.
But John, you were saying, what about midichlorians?
I just think that was the only controversial thing. I mean, yeah, Jar Jar was kind of fucking annoying, but like
I
Dude.
always.
they hadn't gotten to a point where because there was still cliffhanger stuff. Like, what are they gonna do with Anakin? Like,
Yeah.
it sucks they killed, but like,
Yeah.
you know,
I always say that midichlorians are your excuse for why the Rey is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because
I don't even go that far. I'm just talking
I know-
about you're taking away the mysticism
but
of
that's
it.
the thing. If they
Yeah.
hadn't have added that, then there isn't a logical answer for how she just gets everything. Because he explains that midichlorians are what balances the force too. So that
Oh, I-
means that if it had to make a person, if it had to give all it could to Rey,
They
it could.
started that in Phantom. That's why
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that, but
because the second you give it something like that, it's like, okay, so why aren't we acting like it's The Last of Us and scanning people for the virus? You know, because it's like, okay, so because the Jedi Council knew, and I'm sorry, Shadow, that we turned this into a fucking weird thing, but I'm going with it right now just because I remember hearing this once. The Jedi Council knows that there is a Sith in the Senate.
Yeah.
somewhere. They don't know who. I go at this point. Okay, fucking, we're gonna start the Jedi TSA. Everybody's getting a midichlorian scan because apparently it only takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And when Palpatine walks through and they're like, "Sir, you have like 10 million midichlorians. Can you explain this?" And he's like, "Well, no, I mean,
I don't know.
I was born and my parents were like, do it." And I'm just
Do it.
I'm just
Do it. Do it now.
soundboard. No.
No.
So it removed the mysticism, which I thought was kind of sad because it made the world feel a little more hollow.
Yeah.
And then
Yoda's.
and then it created something that it's like, oh no, you have a perfect fix for anything you need to investigate the rest of your life.
Obi-Wan explains it perfectly. It binds us. It flows through us. It's there. The Force is there, and that was perfect. You didn't have to touch
All you
that.
needed.
And I'm the same way, John.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts every time I watch that movie.
But honestly, that's the only thing in Phantom Menace that really, like, I go, it's the only thing that hurt the lore. Everything
Yeah.
else is just kind of like, ooh, they made silly decisions to entertain kids or do
Mhm.
something. Other
I
than
know,
that, though,
I'm gonna catch all the heat, but I like the prequels way better than the original 3.
well, that
Just
you're
for
a
the-
bad person. But
Okay,
that's
and I'm gonna tell you why.
not just
I'm gonna tell you why. I was only like, they first came out in '77, so I was 7. This one came out '81, so I was 11. I can't think when Return of the Jedi came out.
You're
But-
14 probably.
But for watching that, after watching that, I enjoyed it, and I think they're awesome. But I like the fast lightsaber scene. I go back and watch it, and they're so fighting so slow. I'm like, oh my god! But
yeah.
when I see them
and
fighting up to their speed, that's what I like. So
See, the
Yeah.
hard part is that you want to mix the two. You want the flash and flare of the prequels in that nice, hardened, open world, real lived-in universe from the original. That's what you want. You want that combination of both, and somehow we didn't get it. And Mandalorian kind of did it. It's just, they just made some
I'm gonna
weird
tell you,
writing.
the prequels just had better lightsaber scenes, and that's what
Yeah.
grabs my attention.
But that's why
what-
he did it that way, because he's
I know.
saying by the time you
Which
get
I'm
to
fine
the original trilogy, everybody's old or they're gone, and it just that's how.
I know,
Again,
but
I'll go.
when Luke first became a Jedi Knight, he should have been ripping and roaring. He wasn't as fast like that when he was on that ship way right there in the desert. He wasn't fighting that fast. He was fighting all, and then
he was teaching himself.
Yeah, he had to
I'm just
teach
saying,
himself. That's why
if
I
you're
like
young,
Empire.
if you're young,
Really
you're gonna fight
dirty
slow or
and
fast.
dirty and it's dirty and beat
Yeah.
up. I don't know. I'm
And
not.
I hate
I'm
the
not
Rey
there
and
for
Kylo
how-
Ren fight scenes. They
I'm
suck.
not there. The thing is I'm not there for how good the fight scene looked. I'm there for why the fight is happening, and when I know the context why we're in this situation, that is
Trigonometry,
it's much more compelling. Compelling to me.
basic math.
Yes.
Phantom
And,
Zone him.
but I would make the argument. I think Revenge of the Sith is probably the most satisfying of the three. I'll definitely give you that.
Yep.
100%.
Is your neck feeling tight, John?
No, my beard is protecting me.
Is your neck feeling tight?
He has this force beard grown out to
Trying
protect
to
him.
Yeah.
reach through space and time to get you.
Force beard felt gross. Can we not say that?
Force beard. I'm gonna keep saying that now from now on.
Anna, you're my force beard.
Use the beard, Luke. Wait, no. Use the beard, Luke. Use the beard.
Chris, I just yelled that, and she goes, "I don't know what force beard means, but I don't like it."
Tell Hannah that thank you for me. That's mine, and I'm going to use it so much now.
No, I don't want to.
Right. Anyways,
You got a Stone Cold Steve Austin Wrestling Championship belt behind you.
Hell yes, I do, and it has the rattlesnake skin on the back.
Yeah, I love that skull belt. That was awesome.
All right.
I'm sorry, I got sidetracked.
Hell yeah.
What?
Hell yeah.
What?
You're muted.
Austin 316 says, "I just whipped your ass."
Hell yeah.
And it's brass, baby. This shit is heavy as hell.
Yeah, but I want one on that. So that was the most awesome belt ever.
I love it. It's my favorite. Remember when The Rock threw it off a fucking bridge?
Yes.
Fuck you,
Not
Smoke.
happy about it.
All right.
Right.
Right,
Anyways,
who's next?
I haven't explained why I like Revenge of.
Oh yeah, no, keep
Vengeance.
going. We got onto a fucking debate for some reason. No, Shadow.
Yeah.
fucking talk about it like I talked about Armageddon.
Right. So basically, I feel like this film was definitely Ian McDermott's film. Like the way that he smoothly talked Anakin, like the opera scene is my favorite scene in the film. As Ian McDermott explained it, Anakin and Palpatine just sit there and have a little evil chat. And they talk about Darth Plagueis, how the Jedi are basically the same as the Sith, just from a different point of view. And I really enjoy that scene. I just enjoy the film in general. I feel like the end fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan would be a bit dry if there weren't the interval of Palpatine and Yoda in between. And also, the way that Anakin turned to the dark side was very good. So I feel like people start the film as soon as Mace Windu gets his wanking hand cut off and he gets floored out the window. But definitely, I feel like Hayden did a really good job as Anakin. I know he got a lot of hate, but that's just kind of how George Lucas wrote the character.
Oh, he can't direct, and the writing is abysmal.
Yeah. But I would say, Order 66, best scene in Star Wars by far.
It's pretty cool.
Alright.
I don't like how Kit Fisto goes out like a bitch though, but that's fine.
Yeah. Alright.
Somebody brought up a really cool thing, which would have been neat. Could you imagine the whole point of trying to turn Anakin was because he was this super powerful Jedi, quote unquote, and he'd be the only one who could take out the Masters. So in Order 66, you have the like troopers taking out like the low levels and killing and snuffing out the kids. So we don't have to watch Anakin do that, or even imply it.
I think that was
Yeah.
an important part though, because it shows how cold-hearted he is.
No, imagine you have him kill Mace Windu by accident, and he's sad, and he's like, "Oh God!" But now I pledge my allegiance to you because there's no turning
whining.
back. But there's no
Oh my
turning
God!
back.
What did I do?
Well, no, it's what he did.
I know.
And he's gone. He does that, and now he devotes himself to Palpatine. And now, what does Palpatine do? He marches Anakin to all of the Masters, and they have to have one-on-one fights, and Anakin just fucking whoops
Yeah.
them all.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess.
But,
That could have been
Obi-Wan-
because now he's doing it on purpose versus like
Yeah.
an accident.
Definitely when Obi-Wan's looking at security footage, you see Anakin fight like 2 or 3 of them with one hand.
Would have been cool. Would have been really.
Still, it has one of the worst scenes of any Star Wars film, though. The part where he comes out after being Darth Vader and goes, asked about Padme, and then says, no.
Yeah.
It's still, that's really difficult to watch, especially at the end of the film when you're like, man, they could have played off his first words or his first
Yeah.
things so much better. I mean, he could have still asked about Padme.
I didn't have a problem with it.
It's just the way it's done. I don't know. I mean, it
Yeah.
works. Yeah, it's understandable because that was all his concern, anyways.
When I went
But,
there and when they was putting that helmet on and sliding it on, and he
Now
took
that-
that
yeah.
first breath.
Yeah.
All the
That
went,
was
"Ooh, that
The
was
thing is,
That
here's
was,
the thing.
yeah.
If you put Vader and Padme's breath side by side, as soon as Padme stops breathing,
Yep.
Vader starts breathing.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd have been awesome.
That is actually part of them. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
mentioned in the behind the scenes stuff.
So
They
some
wanted
people
it to be like
think
that.
Palpatine did.
Stole her
Same.
life force for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is where I always feel bad. It's one of those moments where I make it. I'm like, yes, that could have been really cool if the film was more solid.
Yeah.
Like, I wish it was
Yeah.
in something a little bit more polished, but
I know.
it's still good shit though. It's hard to deny
yeah.
those good moments. It's so unfair to take it away. It's so
Yeah.
unfair.
Anyways, Chris,
You're better
what's
than
your number
sequels.
3?
Everybody, they're better than the sequels.
Yeah.
Care what anybody says.
Well, after half an hour talking about Revenge of the Sith,
It's
Chris-
actually the postquels, isn't it?
Oh shit.
You had the prequels, you had the original trilogy, you have the prequels, and then you have the postquels.
All right, Chris, what's your number 3?
Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, the solidest of all of them. It has the absolute best ending scene that they could have ended all of it on. They're riding off in the sunset.
Horses.
Danny, be quiet.
Morley.
But I love that film, and it has the people from. I mean, if they had brought Marion in it, it would have been maybe better. Maybe that's the only thing that was missing. But it had Sala, it had Marcus, it had his dad, it had him, and the scenes just it's iconic. And when I remember watching that when it was in the theater, and they were riding off, and I thought, this is it. There it is. It's over. It's all done. And
And then we get the nuke fridge.
yeah, and well, you know what? I can tell you something about the nuke fridge. I don't know if I've told you yet. Do you know where that came from?
The bowels of hell.
No. Shadow, since you've mentioned the movie that it was originally meant for, do you know what it came from?
I'm gonna feel stupid if I get it wrong, but I don't know.
Back to the Future. When they were coming up with ways to make the time machine, one of the ideas was a refrigerator where when they went back to 1950, he would have to take it to Nevada bombing site for the test site, and they would have to put it there so when the nuclear blast happened, it would activate the time circuits so it would go back to 1985. So even though that movie is that opening scene is kind of cringeworthy, I enjoy it so much because it pays homage to Back to the Future and the fact that they scrapped that scene. And I buy it. I'm okay with it. I'm like, whatever. But
Yeah.
Last Crusade should have been the end of it. I won't deny that. I like the fourth one. It's the weakest of all of them. But the third one, like I said, there's certain things that when you watch it, and like when you watch the end of Endgame, you felt like it was over. This whole journey you'd watched was done. And it was the same thing with The Last Crusade. You walked out of there and you're like, I just watched a good friend ride off, and it's over. It's done. Everything's wrapped up nice and neat. And then they had to do 4. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't forgive you for saying you like the fourth one.
I like the fourth one. I like The Last Jedi.
I legitimately thought my relationship with Hannah was going to end the day I took her to that film before
Why?
it even started. It was our first date,
Oh.
and
Oh, no.
Indiana Jones is her favorite trilogy.
Oh. Have you
I
explained to her the Sheldon thing that he's not needed in that?
well,
movie?
we've been together for 12 years, so don't worry. It was way before that. I just lucked out. She just goes, "That's really awful." And I go, "I didn't like it either. Is that okay?" Because I laughed at 2 points. When the weird monkey men
Oh God.
came out of the caves and then he like blew the blow dart into somebody's mouth. I laughed in the theater and I go, Hannah, this is stupid. I was afraid she was gonna like it. And I go, why is the janitor from Scrubs interrogating Harrison Ford after he just came out of a fridge that got nuked? What is my life? To be fair, I did think Shia LaBeouf would have been a good handoff.
It would have been had he not drank it away and screwed it up.
And lost his
But the
fucking
thing
mind.
is that guy is a really good freaking actor.
He's a really good actor.
Yeah.
I think he's like the John Lennon of actors, where everything he does, people take him seriously. Like when he says he's going to be, when he does the street performances, people think he's just off his rocker. I'm like, no, it's brilliant because he's keeping himself relevant in.
Don't let your
the world.
dreams be dreams.
Yes. No, but it's kind of like John Lennon. John Lennon went and did what people always say is the peace thing where he's in bed for, whatever it was. And I said, but that kept him relevant when he was doing nothing. Everybody was watching him and he was doing nothing and he was getting all the press he needed to keep his name in the press and keep his career going when he was doing nothing. Same thing with Shia LaBeouf. He goes out and he does yeah. Well, but no, Shia LaBeouf, he goes out and he does this stupid stuff and people put him in the news and he still has his career. And so, I don't act. I'm not an actor anymore. Puts the thing on. It's like, come on. What do you think he's doing? He is trolling you. He's trolling
He's just doing
you.
drugs. That's all. Bam. I'm gonna.
Whatever.
I'm-
All right.
acid.
All right. I'll be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
LSD.
If I'm not back for my 2, I will be back. But just go around and skip me again.
Don't tell
if
me
you
what
have
to
I
do.
will be back.
I'll be back.
Fuck off, Mom.
Anyways, comic, what's your number? Oops.
Oh, I understood that word.
Came out in 1994. It stars Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Martin Lawrence. I'm sad.
It is Shawshank Redemption.
Great film.
Oh, brilliant.
That is the perfect film. And
Talk about an adaptation that's better than the original, in my opinion. The book.
Can you imagine?
I like the movie better.
Like the movie better than the book.
Yee.
never-
Because
I never read the book.
if I remember correctly, they race swapped for Morgan Freeman, and I go, fuck yeah. That movie doesn't work without Morgan Freeman. I'm sorry.
No.
That shit is so good.
Red and Tim Robbins. I can't think of his name. Andy.
Yes.
Red and Andy were playing off each other so well. I love that movie. Whenever it comes on again, if I don't have to go somewhere, I don't have to go to work, I'm sitting down watching that. I didn't know Stephen King. I only thought Stephen King was known for horror. I didn't know he could write something like that. And when I found out he made it, I was like, I can't believe he did this, because I mean, it was just fantastic. Even the warden down to I know the guy that played the head security guy. His name was Brown. Last name was Brown. I can't think of his first name, but they were all great. It just showed a different levels and transitions Andy went through. At first, they think I think they bet whether or not he was going to make a noise the first night. He didn't. The Aryan Brotherhood was trying to rape him. I think they might have done it a time or two, if I remember correctly. And finally, he was able. The warden saw his smarts and worth, was able to get those guys off his back. In fact, I think they crippled one of the guys, if I ain't mistaken, and sent him to a different prison just to get him off of Andy's back.
Yep.
And Andy befriended them, and
That roof
they were
scene,
working.
dude.
Yeah, they were working on the roof team. He was able to get them beers and stuff. So Andy was very smart. They really pissed me off was the guy that came in there that could prove his innocence. The warden killed, and that just kind of Andy just said, "Fuck it," then, and he made that great escape, climbing through 5 football fields worth of shit. That's determination. But that is one of my all-time favorites. To me, that movie is perfect. I don't know how they could improve upon it.
It'd be hard. Music's good. Cinematography is really solid. I mean, again, this was before the trope of Morgan Freeman being essentially a narrator for everything or being the voice of something. This was him. This was Morgan Freeman becoming the meme, quote unquote. Like, his voice is iconic. Tim Robbins is a great actor. I don't know if there's a bad actor in the film, to be completely honest. But you think of all the iconic shots, like Tim Robbins in the rain, like on his knees, like during the thunderstorm, like, and again, like the beer scene on the roof while they're tarring the roof or whatever. And man, it's good shit. And again, it's just adaptations can be done well, people. Now, granted, if you don't like the book or you don't like the adaptation, that's where I gotta tell you, try and do the trigonometry by separating your brain just a little bit and going, all right, this is the movie. Let me enjoy the movie for what the movie's going to try and do. And then I'll go read the book and go, yeah, book's probably better. Like, because I remember reading the Michael Crichton book for Jurassic Park. Those are so completely different entities. The movie is nowhere near what the book is, and I think they're both cool. But I prefer the movie because I'm a child and I love visuals and I like visual storytelling. I'm totally like, because you also get dialogue, so you still get the written aspect of it in the film. But yeah, man, Shawshank is oof. That is iconic. That is good stuff. This is real good stuff.
I love it.
A very iconic number 2 from comic, Shawshank Redemption. Bad? Do you have anything that can compete with that?
So this was really difficult. I'm gonna do a shitty thing, and I'm gonna kind of go whichever day I feel like. Do I want the horror film or do I want the action film? I'm going with Alien and Aliens. I like both of them, and I don't know which one I like better. I really enjoy the first one because it's really slow and methodical, and it really plays on this horror aspect, with the strobe lights and not knowing what the creatures are going to do. And it's the first time we see the face huggers and John Hurt, the chest burster scene. It's like these are symbolic moments in movies. Regardless of whether or not you like the film, it's hard to not talk about Alien and the chest burster scene. Like, we just talk about it because it's a thing. We all know about it. But then you have James Cameron coming in and doing the James Cameron thing and taking the lore and making it an action film, but being respectful of it. He builds on it. He doesn't hurt anything, and he just moves forward with it. And keeps Ripley. All the characters are smart. He doesn't dumb them down. He makes them all play to their strengths and the way that their characters have already been established. And granted, he's really only working with Ripley and the synthetic and a couple other. But they talk about the company and the way that the alien is going to work and how they want to use it. And he just builds on the world. So I like both, and I don't know how to describe how difficult it is to break them apart, because the first one is this horror, creepy thriller, and the second one is this balls to the wall, crazy action film. And I just think they both play off each other so well. It's really hard to choose a favorite, but I love both of those films unconditionally. I think it's peak sci-fi. So
Right.
there you go. I think it's good. And also, sorry about Brownface, because I don't know if you've ever seen Terminator 2. I didn't know this until recently. The actress that plays the foster mom or whatever for John Connor, the one who ends up being taken over and she like stabs the dad in the mouth.
Right.
She's Rodriguez. And they brown faced her for the fucking film because James Cameron liked the actress, who did a phenomenal job, but like obviously given the times, it's a little insensitive. But
Yeah.
but watching the film, I would have never noticed. But the fact that now that I'm looking at it, it's like, oh damn, that's fucking awkward.
Yeah.
Because there are moments where you get really sweaty and they like do a lot of steam and stuff, so like the makeup starts to kind of wipe away and it's a little awkward. But
yeah.
but good performance. Like, sorry, it was a really good performance, and all the actors are really fucking awesome. And like I said, Aliens just has some peak action lore additions, and the first one, man, go watch them both. How do you not watch both? I'm sorry, that's where I'm at with that one. So there you go. I cheated. I gave you 2. Sorry.
It's fine. So number 2, you got Alien and Aliens.
Yes.
Don't want to leave the other one out.
They're just balancing the seesaw.
Fair enough. My number 2, I'd say it's my favourite MCU film. It's Avengers Infinity War.
Okay.
Similar to Empire Strikes Back. It's one of the first times, especially in the modern era, where we see the bad guy win. And you can see that it really takes a toll on the people that are involved and lose. Especially in Endgame. We see that. And especially through the film, you can see why Thanos does it. And basically it's kind of like a story about... It's basically Thanos' story. It's like trying to make him the protagonist, but realistically we just make him the antagonist. And at the end of the day, with the film as well, leading into Endgame, it really affects the story going forward.
Well, if I remember correctly, he's the first face you see.
Yeah.
He's walking across the bodies.
Yeah, he is.
And then it's up to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. After he's taken the Power Stone, I think. Yep. It's him. Yeah, it's basically Thanos' story. Just very hidden. And it's definitely one of the more influential Marvel films, it's definitely my favorite Marvel film by far.
I can see that.
Right, that's my number 2. I don't
No.
think Chris is back for his number 2. So
But I would love to talk about Infinity War. It's funny because Civil War is probably one of my favorite MCU films, and I
agree
think
with that.
these movies can suffer. They're still good. Don't get me wrong. I think they do suffer from the lack of buildup without
Yeah,
having time with the characters. The blows that they end up taking don't feel quite as powerful without all the history. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I totally agree with the idea of Thanos being the protagonist, and I think they really wanted to do that
yeah,
because he's this altruistic villain with a very, very specific goal.
yeah,
And they really want to play with that idea of like, well, he's justified. And the hard part is I think it was something
Yeah.
that the war kind of did too. It's like they created these two sides, and everybody still to this point debates who was correct. And I think with Thanos, it's not that difficult because it's like, well, I get where he's coming from, but what he wants to do is insane.
yeah,
That's why they literally used the word, they called me a madman, and you're insane. And
yeah,
but the whole time is anytime somebody calls him crazy or off his rocker or whatever, they give him the time in the scene to explain himself.
yeah,
And regardless of whether or not you agree with him, you as the audience gets to sit there and go, well, okay, I get your perspective. I don't
Yeah.
agree with it, but I get where you're coming from. So you're not going to empathize with him, but you'll definitely sympathize with him because, of course, when you end
okay,
up
well, Yep.
and you see his world obliterated, you do feel bad. And and it ending the way it ends is pretty awesome. I would probably have put Infinity War somewhere up there a few years back, but due to the lack of satisfying ending and Endgame with all the threads that they had started in Infinity War, I no longer really care about it because it feels
Yeah.
like a hollow setup. And it kind of reminds and bear with me, this is a complete bare bones kind of ideology about it. Infinity War now feels like the Force Awakens of the MCU movie, where it was this man, you like, because don't get me wrong, you go back through the Force Awakens, they fucked a lot of stuff up. But had they paid off, they would have been able to trick me all the way through. If they would have given me the satisfying payoffs, I would have gotten tricked, gotten to the finish line, and bought all the DVDs.
How about actually leave a quarter of the people you killed off of the superheroes, a quarter of them dead,
or something? Yeah,
something.
Well, and I felt like Endgame, more people should have died during
Yeah.
that film. Like it should have felt more definitive. And the problem was, you could tell they were building up for something else. But then you have something like the A-Force scene, and it's just like, man, you guys have completely lost sight of your goal here. And because of that, Infinity War has lost its luster. But man, if I watch the film, I'm finishing it. If I start it, I'm finishing it.
So which one was that for you?
That's my number 2.
Okay. And then John, what was your number 2?
Aliens. I put them on the same thing depending on how I woke up.
Good. And Danny, what was yours?
Shawshank Redemption.
Beautiful choice.
I tell you, I love our lists because aside from the fact that we haven't repeated each other, which is relatively impressive for 4 people, I love the juxtaposition of everything. It's like weird, hyper sci-fi action, weird stuff.
Yeah, I think we all went into this trying not, and maybe not purposely in our brain going, I'm not going to repeat anybody else. I'm going to put something else on there that nobody else will have. I think inherently in our brain, we were like, I want to make this not like somebody else's list.
Oh, I made it clear that this was, when we said top 10 movies of all time, I played it as John's top 10 movies.
Yeah.
What are the top 10 movies you're going to watch? Not necessarily the ones that I think deserve to be like in the Criterion.
No.
Or win an Oscar.
See, John, I think you're the same way I am. It changes.
Yeah.
This is this week.
does.
This is today.
Oh, you
Yeah.
told me tomorrow or told me to do this next week. I
Yeah.
guarantee you at least 6 films would probably change.
Yeah.
Yep.
My number one hasn't changed for 6 years.
Yeah,
Oh.
see, I don't think my number one's going to ever change.
I don't think my number 1 or 2 would ever change. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think that too.
The thing is, I just went on my personal opinion of what my 10 favorite films of all time
I
are.
love it. And I think it's way more interesting because now, think about it, man. Whoever's listening to us, you have 40 films to choose from now and just go watch
Yeah.
them. What do you think?
So far, I don't know. It may be.
I'm very curious if, like, on the final round, are we all about the fucking...
Yeah, because my number 2 isn't like your guys' number 2. So we're in the final round. If
Oh, I'm excited.
we're gonna see. I have a feeling maybe not. I have a feeling we might all be different all the
guy?
way through, which like you said, John, is impressive. That's 40 films for people who watch this video.
Oh, I'm
To
about
go
to
with.
ruin it then.
I don't know.
All right, Chris, what you got? What
My
you
number
got?
2, Blade Runner.
Ooh, the
Which
original.
cut? Which cut?
Truth be told, I like them all. If we go before the director's cut and then before the final cut and now the definitive cut, I think they have or something. I have like six collector's editions of it. I have a briefcase one. I have the 4-disc one that has like the Dangerous Days thing. Which, oh, dude, if you're into film geek stuff, watch Dangerous Days, the making of Blade Runner, because it is a freaking kick-ass behind the scenes look at that
I don't
movie.
need a justification, Chris, about how long it took you to lose your virginity, okay? What I'm asking is, let's be fair.
42 years and 6 days,
Yeah,
5
boy.
hours.
Yeah, boy.
My kids were immaculate conception.
Well, 42 is always the answer. I got to ask, because this is the real question when it comes to Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
Narration or no narration?
I like the narration,
You
even
like
though
the
I do, just because
Me
it
too.
gives it that like detective novel feel. And yeah, I can watch the European cut, which is without. I don't know. I like them all. It just depends on the day. If I'm going to watch it and if I'm going to crash to it, like if I'm going to try to sleep to it, I'm going to play the narration one because I'm not going to be watching it.
I
And
wish Harrison Ford had put a little bit more oomph.
he hated it.
Yeah, he did.
If you watch it, the stuff
No,
is like,
if
I
he
hated it.
actually given a shit, I think I'd like it more because
Yeah.
I think the narration written out is solid.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the delivery is so fucking.
Oh, no, it isn't. If you get a few of the collector's editions, there's almost 2 hours worth of cut film from that, and there's so many things. I want to go through and use like my Sony Vegas or something to make like a cut with some of those cut scenes out of it,
Yeah.
and put them in places where they should have been, and I want to see how the movie would feel with those in it, because there's some real good stuff. Also, the fact I think that the European version did not have the happy ending. It had they walk away after he sees
Yeah.
the unicorn, and then the United States version had the part where they're driving off into the sunset, which
Yeah.
Ridley Scott hates that version because he even says he doesn't like the narration version, and that's mostly because nobody was really 100% with it. If they had bought into that thought, which I think was Hampton Fraser's idea, the original writer who David Peebles came in to finish it up. I think that if they had really all bought in on the narration, that it would have been much better. But I don't think even Ridley Scott was all for it. That's why he cuts it out every time in his new cuts that he comes out with.
Yeah.
The part where everybody wants to say is Deckard a replicant or not, he never was meant to be from the book that they took it from. The whole purpose of the original book, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, is that android is used as a term for a person with no soul who walks around and just does what he's supposed to do, goes to work, comes home, and all of that. Hello,
Oh
babe.
my god.
They do all that, and so he is that, but he's not a replicant as they make replicants. It's very different from how it is. If you ever listen to the interviews that were done with Richard K. Dick, They,
He sounds like a penis.
he does. What's your name? My name is Dick K. Dick.
Oh man.
Or you can call me Penis K. Dick if you'd like. I mean, it just depends on how you want to say it.
Look, if
My
you want to
name
get
is
behind
Jiggle
me, I can
Dick.
get behind you, sir.
I'm just saying that's his name, Richard K.
Look,
Dick.
my name goes hand in hand.
Literally.
But if you listen to his things, he talks about all the differences between
Both
the
his
books
dicks?
and no.
Sorry.
But that movie still to this day, and again, if you're a film geek, all the work that went into making the scenes the way that they are, the work that they put into LA and the future, just all of it. It's crazy good how they did it. And I can't remember what it is. There's a scene in another movie that they use stock footage. Oh, I know what it is. Or what was it? Oh yeah. The in Blues Brothers. Is it Blues Brothers? What year
Why
is-
are we talking about the fucking Blues Brothers? Shout out to Mary Mayhem.
Gotta bring it back around.
Shout out to
hey,
Mary Mayhem.
yeah. Blues Brothers, was that? What year was that?
Oh God, the
1850.
80 something.
1983 or 80? I don't know. It depends on what year. I think in either one or the other, they use one of the explosions from it. So in beginning of Blues Brothers, they go over the Chicago industrial area.
June
Huh?
20th, 1980.
Okay, so I think one of the explosions you see, or one of the fireballs you see, was actually taken from Blues Brothers and superimposed into the shots of Blade Runner, if I remember right. I can't remember. There's something that either Blade Runner, they used the explosions for something in another movie. I have to go back and look, but Blade Runner, man, it would be my number one if it wasn't for just sheer memory of growing up with my number one. And
Oh, I know why you
I
didn't
had-
put it number one. It's because you're racist against Harrison Ford.
well, no, I love Harrison Ford.
Oh, that makes no sense.
I love Harrison Ford.
I love how I was like, wait, what?
Yes, I hate Fords. You're right.
Yeah, dude, Ferraris. If I learned anything from that film,
Yeah. I think I had to. My mom watched Blade Runner when I was little, and so I only saw the.
I know I
certain
watched it
cuts.
with her. It was awesome.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
And then we
I didn't know-
snuggled after. It was great.
Oh,
I'm
no.
sure you did. How much did you pay for that?
Don't worry, I had space credits. It was Back to the Future.
Perfect.
I
great.
actually have a picture of you as a child, Chris, and it slowly fades every time we do a stream.
Is that just?
I didn't know where I was going with that, but I'm actually happy
Oh,
with
no.
the landing.
Is that?
Oh, no.
Is that just the? Is that just what you wish?
Oh, no.
I haven't seen a picture, but yes, I will.
Yeah. No. But I had to grow.
I'm going to have to call the
To-
space police.
I had to grow to enjoy Blade Runner, and as I got to see it less edited, you know, as the older I got, and I got to see the scenes my mom always thought were horrible, like the sex scene in it, she hates because she says, "Oh, but he rapes her." I'm like, well, one, she's a robot, so I mean,
Okay, calm down. Don't, Chris. In about 10 years, this will be a real discussion. I'm telling you that.
I know.
So don't
But-
be on the wrong side of robot fucking history, all right?
But I think it's just because she doesn't know what she's doing, so he's leading the whole time. I don't know, but
Excuse me?
it's all yeah. I know you don't understand the birds and the bees, so it's okay, John. I'll
Well, why are
explain
birds and bees fucking each other? That makes no sense.
because the birds like it.
Honey's
They like
good.
this. They like the stinger.
Gives a whole new word. Hey, yeah, it gives a whole new term, new definition to Hummer.
Oh,
No.
my God.
No, that's a
Please.
hummingbird, you anal bead.
Let's. Oh.
Shadow, did you think we were gonna devolve into this? See what you've done?
Ask Danny. This is gonna happen every
He's
time.
shaking his head right now. Actually, I'm assuming he left like 5 minutes ago.
I'm still here.
Equally,
Oh, he's just shaking his head. I
But he
guarantee
know-
you
but
he's got like his head
But
And
he's
his
sitting
hands
there and
is
he's
doing
like,
this.
"Yes, this is." He would tell you that this was expected at some
Business
point.
as usual.
If you wonder what happens in Britain at Saturday night at 1 o'clock in the morning, this is what happens. We all just talk about how we shag each other's mums.
Oh
Well-
yay!
Well, ever since Brexit, I mean, what are you guys really doing? Let's be honest. You're not allowed to go anywhere.
No, I'm not. I'm just stuck here fiddling about with this.
I don't.
don't-
Is that your Sibian? What is that? The fuck is? Oh, it's a lightsaber. Oh, is that Rey's lightsaber?
No,
that's
it's Darth
Vader's.
Vader's.
That's Vader's.
All right, we got 30 minutes, Danny.
I know. I'm ready to do my last one.
30 minutes to what? What are you guys doing?
To our next
Oh, you-
stream.
Fucking hell! What are you guys on everything?
Yes,
Jesus Christ!
I'm a stream whore. You should know this.
Oh yeah,
You ready-
sorry.
Are we ready for the last one?
Wanna get
Last
known
one.
on this
Let's
world?
do left.
Be on everything. Yeah. Let's go.
All right. Our number one is another perfect movie. No mistakes made in this movie.
Wow, listen to you.
Uh-oh.
So confident. I like
Get
it.
ready, John's just chomping at the bit to see where.
I know. I'm ready. Perfect.
Came out in 1999. It is The Green Mile.
Oh no.
He's got it, and yeah, you're right. Damn.
That is a perfect movie.
Damn.
Michael
Also,
Clark
I won't.
Checkmate.
I won't. I won't speak ill of the dead. So no.
Michael
Absolutely
Clark Duncan, God rest his soul. He
force is strong with this one.
God
he
damn.
stole the show. Him and Tom Hanks. That movie, I love every part of it. It's so sad.
Shout out to
Um,
Mr. Jingles.
It's just, yeah. The guy, the asshole guard. The way he got hit at the end when he put that stuff in his head and sent him to the sanitarium. And the way he was able to heal. The warden's wife, hold that stuff, go back to the prison, and then did what he did. The way that Tom Hanks had to live with the fact knowing that he was innocent. When he gave him that gift, he extended his life. He's like 130 something years old, I think. Still was living. So was a rat. I mean, the mind.
Jack is a beast.
So Stephen King did it again. A lot of times you can't catch, or like they don't strike twice, but it struck twice with him because he made two perfect movies. I see
Almost
nothing.
literally in the Green Mile did lightning strike.
So,
Danny, I gotta say, can I ask?
Yes.
You have a great list. I did notice a lot of melancholy, either prison oriented or psychiatric oriented stuff.
I
You
can't
were
help it.
very mature and like you were very melancholy. Like, bro,
I
like
took it-
you were
I
pretty
took it
decent.
literally when he said all-time greats.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, I didn't. I took it literally too, but I think John and I. That's gonna again change, but I am not the least bit
No, real
disappointed
talk.
by your number one.
At the end of the day, I would have done stuff like I probably would have said Pulp Fiction, Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
There's some
You
some
know,
that are going to be on there all the time, but I might do change.
I was
Okay.
going with If
Yeah.
Somebody Ever Met Me. What are the 10 films you say you're gonna watch no matter what all the time? And I'm like,
Huh?
because like I didn't even get a chance to get the Rocky.
I know
love
it. I know it. I gotta go to this next stream. I gotta get stuff prepared because Anzo Power went out. But I had
Oh.
10 honorable mentions, and I'm gonna shoot them real quick. And then
Go,
I'm gonna leave.
go.
All right, Viva Vendetta,
Hell yeah.
Goodwill Hunting,
Yes.
Unforgiven, Heat, Gran
Yes.
Torino,
Yes.
Million Dollar Baby, Wizard of Oz, The
Yes.
Martian,
Hell
IP
yeah.
Man, and The Help.
It's Ip Man, not IP Man. Come on
Ip,
now.
I'm sorry, Ip Man.
And Help
All
Man and
I
four.
like those too.
Like Man.
So I mean,
I didn't come up with any honorable mentions for this one because then it's going to take me
When I
forever.
looked at the thing it was like 250 movies. So I
Danny.
spent an hour going through 250 movies to pick the top 10, the top 20 that I like.
Danny,
So-
write this down because if you forget, I'm gonna send you a disc and force you to watch it.
Okay,
It's Kelly's Heroes.
Kelly's Heroes.
Kellys. Kelly's Heroes. It's a
Oh
Clint
no.
Eastwood film. You will like it. If you don't like it, you can yell at me on a stream.
Okay, Shadowhunter. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir, for inviting me. I enjoyed myself. If I didn't have another stream, I would stay to the rest of it. But I have to go because the power went out on Anzo, and I'm taking over the show tonight. So I got to get
alright.
stuff ready.
All
You
right.
need,
Well,
Danny, do you need help? You good?
Yeah, I just got to get the stuff set up on StreamYard and stuff.
Is he going to call in on his phone?
He said he's gonna call his phone, but
Okay, all right.
all right.
As long as he doesn't drive while he does it.
You know what? Mine is sitting in a nice little case right here,
right,
off of my hands. My hands are on the wheel.
All
All right, see you, Danny.
All right.
Goodness, man.
thank
So
you, man.
the
Y'all
next
take it easy.
Remember, we can check comics YouTube channel down link in the description.
Ah, I'd like to think if anybody's here, they probably know the
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll wait my turn because I should be good because I
Go
got
ahead,
it over
Chris.
there.
We would love we would love for you. We would
You're not
like
gonna-
you're at the bottom now. You're the bottom now. You're here.
Makes things easier that way. I don't have to work.
Oh man, go nuts!
I am. What about it? No.
Because mine's the best film ever.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
My film is the best ever made, so I'll let you both go ahead of me if you want. I don't
Your
know.
film? No, go ahead. I want to hear what your best film ever made
on.
is.
For me, 100% for me.
For moi? For you?
Terminator 2.
I would have put it there had I not already done a movie talk about it today.
Oh, you too? I did listen to your first one.
Stieg and I are it's gonna be out next week because tomorrow I think we're doing a live one.
If you get a chance, I highly recommend you look up Critical Drinker and Mahler talking about them.
Mhm.
It's fucking fantastic.
No.
They always remind me how much I love these films. I grew up in the days of Planet Hollywood when that restaurant was a thing.
Mhm.
I remember buying the toy that was like a 13-inch doll that had like 5 buttons on his back, and you
Yep.
pushed him and had all the toys, and it was so fucking cool. So it's a little superficial. It's actually probably a lot superficial. But I will also make the argument this is one of the greatest sci-fi action films ever.
Except for that it basically replays the first movie scene for scene.
I would
Got you there.
almost agree. I kind of agree.
It's not all exact, but there's a very
But here's the
heavy.
thing. But here,
It's-
I think,
and-
but
and-
I would make the argument it's the point. And the whole deal is that you look at Alien and Aliens again. You look at James Cameron, a guy who came in and actioned. He did pure action versus Terminator 1's more of a slasher.
Yep.
Crazy robot, focused, going
Mhm.
after the thing. Now we have to open it up a little bit more, add some extra characters, do some other things. My whole deal is that say what you will about the mirroring images, the homages, and the things to the original film.
And if you see the cut scenes, there's even more so.
Oh, the director cut is better when they have to take the CPU out so he can learn.
Yeah, no.
That should be canon. The fact
It
that it's
should, no,
not-
and I prefer the director's cut so much more than the
yes,
theatrical.
You get extra stuff in the warehouse where they're doing the CPU, and you get a little bit more in Mexico, which really gives a lot of motivation to not only Sarah, but to the relationship between John and Arnie.
Yeah, the T8.
The T800 or T820, I think.
No,
Or-
it's an 800, and they just
Oh, it's the
simplify.
third
It's
one where he was upgraded or whatever.
yeah, that's yeah.
Whatever. We don't speak of the third one. But I have to make the argument that they do that because it's a parallel.
Yeah.
A lot of reboots and stuff, you're looking at that like it's a bad thing. It's like, oh, obviously they're homaging and go, oh, you remember that? And I go,
Mhm.
no. In this film, they do all of that because it has to be a building on the aspect. Linda Hamilton is not the scared little girl that she used to be.
No.
She is Sheen. And they even have a scene when she goes after Dyson where she is so focused and so murderous. It was that weird, and then she acts so brilliantly. When like the kid and the wife jump on, she realizes she's becoming more of the Terminator than actual
She's
robot.
focused on a mission, a one singular thing, the person.
Which the robot should be the one doing that, but he's not. He's trying to learn now.
Mhm.
And
Which is why that scene where they take the CPU out is necessary, because that's when they teach you.
It's so good. And well, and it also gives Sarah and John a moment where she's about to smash and he's like, no, and
that's when he becomes,
and he goes, if you think I'm gonna be this leader, maybe start listening to me.
exactly. And that's the cool thing about it, is you see them, he starts right there.
It's the first time you see them work, because you've already seen them physically work as a team, while John's like reloading all of the weaponry when they're in the car, and they
that's because when they go down to Mexico, that's where they went at the end of the first movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that they should have put in the first movie that would have made more sense. So in the first movie, there's a cut scene where she tries to convince Kyle. She goes to the phone book. She finds cybernetics, and she rips out what? Cyberdyne. I think it's called Cybernetics in the first film, but it is Cyberdyne. And at the end, they have a scene where it scrolls up and you find out the end scene actually happens at Cyberdyne. There's a lot of stuff that was cut out of the first one that should have been left in it, but he didn't design it to have a sequel. Yeah. If they had left those in, it would have been to the sequel, which I think they should make a director's cut, put that stuff in so it makes sense. Because there's a part in the first movie where she wants to go after it and destroy it then, which...
I got to make the argument, and this is important, because I know, especially after watching your stream, we could totally delve into both films. Oh, yeah. And I don't want to do that for an hour.
I'd love to have you on and we can talk about those.
Oh, I fucking love these films. I think
then we'll do it sometime.
They do not work without each other. No. They are both great. Don't get me wrong. Well, the first one obviously works by itself because it's an encompassed story and you can just walk away. But now knowing the second one works and it's actually good and it plays off, they need each other, because not only like if you happen to watch the second one first by accident, you get payoffs somehow. You get retroactive payoffs like the prequel, and especially now that people know what prequels are. Thank you, Star Wars, I guess. Now that prequels are a thing, people can do that now. People can watch a sequel and move back to the old one. And move the other way around. And that's why I totally get why some sequel people are just going to go, fuck the OT. You know, I totally get the mindsets because of the way that you work. But my whole thing is with Terminator 1 and 2, I like 2 because I do feel it does a good job of reiterating. It's like they somehow remake the chessboard. They put all the players back on the same way. They open up almost the exact same way. They have a Sarah Connor narration to tell us everything. We have this big setup. And essentially, if we haven't seen the first film, this will still work fine. But without the first one, you don't get the character growth. And it's like I was saying about Infinity War. You get special payoffs for doing your research. And this film doesn't have the right to be as good as it is. It really figured out a way to up the stakes. The robot, the T-800, should have lost 100%. The T-1000 is because it can
he kind of does though. It's just it's the gotcha at the end that he wins with.
It required the human influence.
Yeah,
they were a team.
Yeah,
the T-800 alone couldn't get the job done, and because you see Linda Hamilton's character go through all this growth, John Connor finally because you have to remember he's been groomed up until the point that we see him as age or whatever. Because we have to play with the idea. I'd have to double check one more time to see how long she's been in the insane asylum. How soon she lost.
They were out. So she was with John and with other guys for about, I think he explains, like 5 or 6 years.
Exactly.
And so it's about 4 or 5 years.
How much of the training shit are you going to learn in 5 years? So.
Yeah, but it was about 4 or 5 years that she's been in there.
I would have liked a little bit more on that, but that's fine. I don't even think you really need it. He knows the stories, and I'm sure he visited her.
Yeah.
No, actually, I think he said, I don't even know if he's ever.
He lives with her up until the time she's put in the nut house. That's why she's put there, and that's what he remembers, is that they looked at him and says, "Kid, don't you know your mom's nuts?"
And he's like, well, yeah.
And so he starts buying into it.
Exactly.
And then he sees, oh my God, my mom wasn't nuts. She
Exactly.
was doing this for a real reason.
And then
And oh my,
it's like he instinctively said, "Okay, all the stuff my mom's been telling me, here we go. I'm using it."
Yeah.
And I just think Terminator 2 is a perfect aspect of somebody who took the lore, respected it, and built on it. And I don't think we should have ever had another sequel. I think they nailed it with the thumbs up into the lava.
the only way it works for me, okay, so they're driving off with the road, and the last thing she says in the second one, when they're driving off into the road and it shows the lines and the dark, it's dark outside and it's just the road and the lines going by, and she says, the future's unset or whatever, and then it says, but I have hope now, because if a Terminator can learn the value of human emotion or whatever, maybe we can too.
Yeah, and you could almost make the argument it's
End.
her coming back to her human state.
Yeah,
Because again,
end it.
like I said, with her trying to kill Cabe or who the guy, the black guy.
Oh, yeah. Now you said it, and now I've forgotten
I want
it.
to say Dyson.
Dyson, yeah,
Yeah,
Miles Dyson.
Yeah, it's Miles Dyson. That's why they call it Cyberdyne. Annoying. I'm stupid. But because she lost her humanity halfway through this film, the idea of her getting it back, it's almost like she's reflecting on her own journey on top of the future, on top of it, like she did in the first film. And I just think it's it's like poetry. It rhymes. Fucking hell.
No, it's great. It's a great film.
Yeah, I think it's a good mirror image of itself, and I think it's unfair to say it's like a pseudo carbon copy. I think that was the point. It was supposed to do it, build it up, and then
I am not
you know how a
dissing it
movie
for
is
that.
supposed to subvert your expectations. This film actually did it.
Yeah, no.
You did not. It was supposed to be ambiguous who the badman was until that scene in the hallway with the roses.
They picked the perfect guy to play T-1000, because I said that today in our talk. I was like, there are hints, like when he takes out the cop.
Patrick, I believe
What?
it's Robert.
Yeah, Robert Patrick. But when he takes out the cop, you could say he's killed the guy, but you don't know that. He may have just punched him in the gut, and he might have fallen off to the side, and then he took his stuff off and he went away, because they don't show him killing the guy.
Well, and he has nice interactions with everybody.
And that's the thing.
He's
It was
gone,
so
and he,
crazy.
like, fucking starts shoving kids out the way.
Yeah, but it was so crazy because, and that's what I said today. I mentioned that. I said, the way that, and think about it.
That's why you put him in a cop. That's why you put him in a cop's uniform.
If you're a machine and you send this thing back, that's exactly what you want to do. And that's the difference between the T-1000 and the T-800. They learned that we have to have something that doesn't take time to adapt. It needs to adapt on the fly. And that's what Robert Patrick's Terminator is. And the fact, like he's talking to these kids, and these kids aren't even scared. It's a cop. I'm going to tell him. Oh, I think he was back. I think he's back there. And everybody talks to him. He goes up to the
trying to fuck off and go, I think he left. Which fucking shout out to his fucking ginger friend. But you also gotta remember, it's one of those things where you're sitting there with the ambiguity, because you're supposed to play with the idea that Arnie is the bad man, because we know him from the first film.
Yep.
And we're gonna go through until we find out Robert Patrick is the bad guy, the 2000. Man, who would have thought he would nail a role like this so good? Because some behind the scenes, Robert Patrick came to James Cameron and was like, "Hey, I really, really want to make sure that I nail this." And he's like, "I want to make sure that I never blink when I fire a gun."
Yep.
And I go, talk about a guy who literally gets a script and says, "You're just going to be a cold-hearted," I mean, let's be fair, a no-hearted fucking robot. Murder bot. And the guy goes, "I want to be as awesome as possible." And there are rumors. I have to go back and rewatch the film because I really want to. Because I watch it like once a year almost. There are rumors that he is shown to never blink in the entire film.
I don't think he does. Another thing is when he's coming out of the car park chasing after John. Did you know that they said this in the cop uniform and the shoes and everything? He was actually able to catch that bike like 2 or 3 times during takes, and that they had to tell the stunt driver to go faster.
Well, and I also heard rumors that's why they wanted to fucking lay him in with shells so many times. So he had to like hot step and like not
Yeah.
be able to do it. The fucking film is great. I'm sorry, like I will never change saying that this film delivers something special every single time you watch it.
Yeah, I said that this is by far, quite possibly, the best sequel in the history of movies.
This is the sequel that everybody should pay attention to.
Yeah.
And when you're teaching yourself how to develop lore, do it.
Yeah, and
Hashtag do it.
yeah, do it.
I'm sorry.
Do it. Do it now.
Terminator 2
Oh, no.
will always probably be my favorite film ever of all time. Because not only is it just a good film in its own right, it's an adaptation thing. It's a building on something already established, and you fucking nailed it.
Maybe we'll bring Mike in on it. I don't know. I'll talk to Stieg about it, but I wanted to do and I mean all of them, the franchise of Terminator, because I'll talk bad. I'll talk about the bad.
But the first two I could talk about for eons.
But I want to talk about the first two, but then I want to go into how what they set up in the first two is totally ignored in some of the other ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think it's important because you can make a case for probably 3 and Salvation to be decent. Genesis would be really hard to make that case for.
3 is not a good addition, but it doesn't do anything malicious.
No, but it was only
And
designed
4
because somebody said,
Yeah.
This
And
is
4
what-
was the war film that everybody thought they wanted.
yeah, well, here's the thing. 3, the problem with 3 is it was designed only so they could continue to make Terminator movies.
You're not wearing a shirt, my dude.
He hasn't
No,
been for
no.
a while. Do you want to see him?
Why are you trying to make
For-
me funny? Right?
For John, get up,
Your shirt, my
lick
dude.
your finger, and just do.
I'm just
just the guy. I'm telling you.
I got to the finish line, so
Yeah. Okay. I got to give my final. I got to give my final so I can go.
Terminator 2 is number 1.
I love Terminator 2, and like I said, I said it's quite possibly the best movie sequel of all time. My number 1, if I'm allowed, is only because it's part of a trilogy. It can't technically be the best sequel because it's in between.
Don't make me hit you.
The Empire Strikes Back.
I fucking hate you.
I know,
No, I'm
but
kidding.
The Empire Strikes Back, dude.
Empire is a great film.
Again, behind the scenes stuff. Once you hear
Yeah.
that Irvin Kershner turned this movie down like 3 times because he's like, I don't want to fuck up your whole thought.
Yeah.
And finally, George Lucas said, "You've taught me how to develop characters. Only you can do this movie and make these characters what they're possibly capable of." And he does it. He turns a scoundrel into the heartthrob for Princess Leia. He brings Princess Leia's bitch ice mood out of her, and humanizes her. He shows the irresponsible side of Luke Skywalker, who's just going to fly out to battle because he
Yeah.
has to save everybody, but he can't. He doesn't know how to. He's just going to do it. You kind of see the cunning deafness of Darth Vader about how he lures. It really, and really, without using the Force the way we've already been taught and the way we see it in the first and the third film, Darth Vader sets Luke Skywalker up because he knows how the Force works. And everything Darth Vader does in the Cloud City is designed to call to Luke because he understands that he's focused on his friends, and that if he attacks his friends and does stuff to his friends, that he will come. And that right there shows the inexperience of Luke with the Force. So much so that he leaves his training. And I'd argue to say again to this day that when we get to the third one, the only reason why he's considered a master Jedi is because
He's the only one
There's
left.
just
only
no way to
fucking
go
one
with it.
left, or is the only one left?
Exactly. I don't. And everybody's like, "Oh, well, he was told he has to face Vader. Once he does that, he's that." I'm like, but that's not really how it works. Yoda basically says, "Okay, you're going to be a master because, well, I'm dying. I'm not going to be here to give you a trial. I'm not going to be able to do this or that." That's just how
Thanks,
it is.
Dad.
Well, that's basically. But but if it and again, could they hide that it was Darth Vader who was his father? Unless
Well,
you're
also, we gotta-
unless you're Dutch.
And this is another thing where some people need to fucking grow up. It's like there are mistakes in all films. It's the amount of egregious ones. Like the idea that Darth Vader didn't already know about Leia is absolutely absurd. The
It is.
prequels fucked all that up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, it's a bummer, but you know, we work with what we got.
Well, he doesn't know that he has twins, and being that
You would feel him in the Force. Shut up.
well, okay, I understand, but in the way that they set it up, that Obi-Wan is close to Luke, that would make him probably more susceptible to being found because he's around another Force sensitive, or he's around another Force user, and Luke with the metachlorians that you would say you'd have that would make a much stronger focal point for Vader to hone in on. Leia's kind of kept to the side, doesn't get taught any of that, isn't around any of that. So there is some wiggle room, enough that you can
If you
justify.
can feel somebody's Force,
I'm
like
sure you
leave
can.
leave the universe when they die, I refuse to believe you
But-
can't hone into your own children.
Yeah.
Especially when you're
I'm
considered one of the
just
most
saying. I'm
powerful
just
units
saying.
in the world.
I'm
Again,
just saying.
I think the prequels have some very glaring holes.
Yep.
I think the OT works pretty solid.
Yep.
The only issue is that when you remove the prequels and it's just the OT, the idea that Vader still didn't feel Leia but knew about Luke, that's a fuck up. But we have
Well,
to
I think.
we have
Well,
to give it there was no intended sequel from the first one.
well, not just that, but
Leia Luke kiss. It's a weird
yeah,
thing.
but
We
not
have
just
to
that.
make up
It wasn't decided that they were brother and sister until the end.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These are obvious. We didn't have a sequel in mind fuck ups. These are not, oh, we fucked with the lore because we're retarded and don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? There's a big difference between doing something because you don't
That's-
give a fuck about doing your homework.
That's
We had no intention.
yeah. That's George Lucas being a magician. Well,
Yeah.
watch this hand, watch this hand, watch this hand, and poof! Look! Oh, look! Here it
Just
is.
doesn't run up Jar Jar's ass and go, he's the reason.
Yeah, but that's what. Yeah, that's very true. But for
He's
for
at
a,
the Dark Lord.
for a middle movie that has
Jar Jar talk without a shirt on, Shadow.
for the middle movie that technically has no beginning and has no end, it's perfect. Almost. I mean, yeah, but it falls in line with T2. And again, you can't truthfully call it a sequel because it's the middle of a trilogy, so I can't say it's the best sequel ever,
Yeah.
but it's good. And but T2, man, oh, I love T2.
Sorry, dude. T2 is so fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
I would, I would love. I want somebody on a stream
Dude.
who wants to poke holes in it. I would.
No,
love,
you and me are going to have a talk about this, and I have other ideas that I want to talk to you and Mike about, because I know you and Mike have worked for quite a while together on things. I have some pretty interesting ideas.
Real talk, internet. If you haven't seen the Mauler, it's literally
Yeah, no, I watch Mahler and I watch Critical Drinker.
Critical
Oh yeah,
Drinker.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just those two talking about Terminator 1 and 2 for
Mhm.
like 4 hours. It's fucking
Let's do it.
legendary.
I just passed 3,000 subscribers. Let's do a 3,000 subscribers.
also humble brag.
2, 1 and 2. We'll talk about it.
I
We'll
think I
figure out
broke
a date.
100 by accident because I don't actually YouTube. So that's me.
You're just a cat. You're like Steve. You're just casually there.
I'm just fucking guys. I just want to talk to you dudes,
'Cause
preferably
we're
with
awesome. Yeah, preferably. with-
Shadow, I'm gonna
Okay.
keep you.
Um,
You fucked
I got-
up.
I
I'm gonna
got-
keep making fun of you.
I got 4 minutes till I got to be in my other stream. Shadow, thank you for having me on. I'm sorry for being late,
That's alright, man.
but
Better late than never, am I right?
I got to make an entrance. What's your number one though? I want to hear it.
The Dark Knight.
Wow. All right. So,
That's out of the dark.
the only repeat. No,
Literally.
it's actually really cool. Out of
It is.
40 choices,
Not a one.
we only had Empire Strikes Back
Wait,
and Dark
Did you-
Knight get repeated.
who had?
He had Empire somewhere,
Eighth.
and Danny had Dark Knight.
Okay, well,
That's it. Other than that, the fucking 38 fresh films. There you go.
There you go.
that's a list to write down and go watch.
Don't forget Cool Runnings and Muppet Christmas Carol. Anyway,
Definitely.
yeah,
No,
fucking
but
nuts about why Dark Knight is
write those down, and that's your weekend homework right there.
yeah.
Oh, oh no.
Cool Runnings. There you go.
All right, man. I got to jump though, guys. Thank you very much, John.
I want to know why Shadow loves Dark Knight.
I'll come back and watch it.
All right.
Alright.
Well, Dark Knight for me is I'd say it's the perfect film, nearly. We have the most brilliant Joker that we've ever had. Like I said, he's like the leader of chaos and anarchy. That is something that Heath Ledger really delves into and really shows.
Oh, and it's a surprise too. It was really nice to go into the cinema and be surprised by the performance too.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Because I mean, like, before that, you had people like, I can't remember his first name, but some
Arrow from like fucking
1960s. Yeah.
You got Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
You got because Jared Leto's the best one. Duh. What are we talking
Yeah,
about?
of course.
Jared Leto.
Yeah. Well, the
But
thing
then
is,
you have to compete with the timeless voice with Mark
yeah.
Hamill. Could not have been easy.
Nah, it could have. And the thing is, even when Joker's not talking, he's just sat there. You can tell that it's Joker. It's not like, I don't know, Harry Potter. You can tell by the way he's sitting and the way he's contemplating his mind and his thoughts. Especially the interrogation scene.
Oh,
You can tell he's not taking it seriously. He doesn't mind being beaten the shit out of. He literally got his head smashed into a window and got his blooming head whammed.
I would have to pick, if I could pick 3 scenes that really are iconic for him, I'd have to make the argument for when he first meets the mob bosses.
Yep.
He's already got his thumb on a pack of grenades.
Yep.
So it shows I'm a little bit anarchist and I'm crazy and random, but I have a contingency plan.
Yeah.
No matter what I do, you see these 4 fingers operating, but there's one in the shadows doing something.
Yeah.
You're not thinking about it, and he shows off, and kills somebody. Not only that, so he gets away with that. That's 1.
Yeah.
2, when he burns the money.
Yeah.
What a fucking fantastic moment. He goes, no, I'm going to prove to you I don't give a fuck about any of your values. I'm in it for what I want. And nobody knows what that is. And that's awesome and scary. It's scary and awesome.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, what don't you need them? It's like, no, apparently you can manipulate anybody to get anything you fucking want.
Yeah, I can.
Interesting. And then third is the hospital.
Yep.
Not
When he
only
blows it up.
he can, well, not only that,
He
before
also
that,
makes Harvey Dent, if I'm not wrong. Yep.
a man, because don't forget, he had to talk to Commissioner Gordon before the Joker snuck in.
Yeah.
So, Gordon, you can already tell Harvey Dent's fucking lost. He doesn't care. He's lost the woman he loves, and he's fucked up.
Yeah.
And he goes, what did they call me? Like, he's gone. Harvey Dent is gone.
Yeah.
And then the Joker comes in to seal the deal and goes, oh, you can kill me. Go nuts. But that's not fun. Where's the fun? And then he leaves the hospital, and then you get not only do you get the whimsical nature of the Joker who loves anarchy with the explosion of the hospital, but you also get a dynamic acting moment with Heath Ledger when the thing doesn't work. Because it's pretty obvious that most people know it didn't work. So not only do you get a good acting moment, not only do you get a brilliant acting moment from an actor to be fair, we all wrote off before we saw the film.
Yeah.
He nailed it. And in retrospect,
Absolutely.
I think we all need to eat crow because I don't give a fuck. I love 10 Things I Hate About You. I like A Knight's Tale. I like Heath Ledger. I didn't even think he was a good casting for that fucking thing. And then, man, did I eat a fuck ton of crow. My whole thing is that that film does some really cool shit with his character. And hot take, I will say this about the Nolan Batman film: Batman's the shittiest character in the entire trilogy.
Yeah.
Not Batman. He's Christian Bale in a suit. I would say the most Batman you get is the first film. After that, they want to ground it so bad that they fucking nerf Batman. He doesn't
Yeah.
do anything. And they're like, oh, well, no, he does a little bit of detective shit, but like, what, the bullet? That's about it. He does the bullet.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's kind of like, okay, now I'm going to go here and I'm going to go. And it gets worse in Dark Knight Rises. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Awful. He just shows up places. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm Batman, and then he dies.
I don't know if you've seen this film, but it's what would have happened if Joker was in Dark Knight Rises, where basically he would like be the one who controls Bane.
Yeah.
I forgot his name.
Negan character. Like, I understand, like, some people don't really like The Walking Dead, but that Negan character, the idea of, like, putting Joker in a cell and going Hannibal Lecter style on him
Yeah.
would be fucking dope. Just Heath Ledger in the makeup saying fucking crazy stuff would be awesome. And we just, like, it's a shame we didn't get it, but man, they fucking dropped the ball with the thing. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And you're talking to a Hispanic guy, so I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't get the Luchador. Let me tell you, the way they did the Joker film with Juan Phoenix, I
Yeah.
want a Bane version of that with like some down and out Luchador. Like, imagine Nacho Libre if it was like brutal and scary.
That'd actually be pretty decent.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when I play it like that, it's like
Yeah.
a dark version of Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
Seriously though, I think it's fun. Get
Joe-
Jack Black to fucking get in shape. Let's go.
Do you know what one film they should do that I think is like something that they're missing out on?
Scarecrow.
A rated R Darth Vader film.
I would argue they tried to do it with Rogue One.
Yeah.
That
I
ending,
mean, like,
ending stinger.
yeah, but when he like chokes everyone, like you see their eyes popping out, blood just shooting
Oh,
out
well,
mouths and shit.
I told people the thing that we're missing is a horror element in
Yeah.
Star Wars. I told people, wouldn't it be neat if there was a bounty hunter, like a Mandalorian, who had to go after a Sith Lord and he didn't know what he signed up for, and he's just showing up to planet
Yeah,
with a trail of bodies.
yeah. Like,
How fucking dope would that be?
yeah. And then like be a scene if he's like putting down Vader, he doesn't know it. He's like walking through his dark corridor. All he hears is Vader's breathing slowly get louder as he gets closer. Turns round behind him. Vader's there, lightsaber in hand. Shum.
Again, you're just describing the Rogue Ones, but I'm saying, like, imagine doing that with a untrained Sith, somebody who
Yeah.
lost his mind because of he was hearing voices from Sith Lords who wanted to corrupt him,
So a bit like
and he's just going around killing people because he's losing his shit.
yeah.
It'd be
A bit
really
like a bit like Starkiller from The Force
yes,
Unleashed.
exactly, kind of like
Yeah.
that, but a little more dark, like somebody
Yeah.
who has no purpose
Yeah,
and doesn't even know what he's doing.
yeah.
It's so crazy. It'd be
So
awesome.
like 2 parts Starkiller, 1 part Maul. A bit.
I'd probably say, like, I think there's a couple other characters. There was one in the Fallen. Was it in the video? Was it in the new video game?
Jedi
They-
Fallen Order.
Jedi,
Yeah,
whatever the fuck it was called. There's a
Jedi
cut
Fallen
scene
Order.
where, like, his brother gets murdered in front of his dad or something, or he murders his dad. I can't remember. I didn't give a shit about the game. I didn't play it, but there was a cool cutscene. Some bald dude like murdered his dad or something, and his brother. I was like, dude, imagine something like that. Like, he's just there's some Sith Lord who knew about his powers because the midichlorians fucking kill me.
yeah,
And they want to manipulate him and fuck with him. They send him on this fucking murderous path because the more he kills, the darker he becomes. It would be really fucking cool. And then, like, some rogue Jedi faction or something is. I actually want to stick with bounty hunters. I like the idea of these
yeah,
bounty hunters who have to use all the tricks in the books to subdue a fucking Sith Lord. It would be
Yeah.
dope. And it would try and finally figure out a way in this universe how you bring down a fucking Jedi and a Sith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they would go, well, you can't. I go, fuck you. I want the boys version of a Star Wars.
Yeah.
Where there's a bunch of people who have really good talent and understand the ways of the Jedi and the Sith. They're just not force sensitive, and they have to fucking figure out a way to detain them so they don't get murdered.
Yeah.
It'd be dope. It'd be really dope.
Yeah.
I want the world to be bigger. The sequel trilogy made the world feel so small.
Yeah. Because they went back to. They just went back to the same places most of the time, or stuff that looks similar.
Exactly. They're so unimaginative. It's sad.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I agree with. Man, I really like everybody's lists. I think they're fun. Again, with me, I know people think I'm memeing. No, a lot of the ones I picked, I truly think are great films. Yeah, I don't think they should get a fucking Oscar or anything. Calm down. But I will tell you, if you watch my list, you will be thoroughly entertained. I would be surprised if you watch a film on my list and not at least have a little bit of fun.
Yeah. I think how I looked at these films is if I could watch them more than once in a single sitting, they're good films.
Or I liked how Danny brought it up because it was fun with me. Because an honorable mention for me would be the Rocky film. I love Rocky.
Yeah.
And a ton of animated stuff I did not bring up, like WALL-E, Aladdin, classic Disney stuff.
Yeah.
Trust me, 10 is not a fair shake at some of the best films. Greatest
There's so many good films.
Greatest Showman's up there.
Yeah.
But if you like it. Seriously, anybody listening, write this list down. Go nuts. You're gonna have an absolute good time.
Yep.
Shadow, I don't know how I met you. I think I met you in a chat for another show I did. Do not remember.
I think it was on the Weekly Rumble.
Weekly. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you asking me out. Highly.
Yep.
I hope to see good things on your channel. I hope to see more discussions like this. It was nice to talk lovingly about films. To prove to people that I don't hate everything. I tend to play villain on a lot of my streams, and I like films, and that's why I bitch. I want things. Again.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for having me on. Anybody who's listening, please subscribe, check him out. Go check out Danny's stuff. Go check out Operation Babel with me, and go fucking watch all these movies.
Yeah.
Good shit, man.
We're going to give you until next week to watch all 38 films.
Yes, you only have 7 days. I want all 40 films to watch. And take notes.
Yeah. Right, so thank you, Bud, for joining us. His link to his YouTube channel will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching. It's been nearly 4 hours this stream. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I've done much longer.
Yeah. Next time, I'm hoping to do the top 10 actors of all time, so stay tuned.
I like it. Hey, you have fucked this up from now on. I don't ever expect you to wear a shirt during a stream. Ever. This is now your gimmick. Congratulations.
Yep, I have Chewbacca background as well. Watching me.
Wear a hat, you can accessorize all you want. Shirts, no go. Excellent. All right, Shadow, thank you very much. Chat and anybody else watching. Love you guys. Everybody take care. Go watch good movies.
Alright. Thank you guys for watching this stream, and I'll talk to you all next week.